So from one raucous atmosphere at Twickenham to another here in Nottingham, we are at the City Ground on Radio 5 Sports Extra now. Quick gear change, back to the Premier League football. Don't worry, the rugby in full is over on BBC Radio 5 Live, but here comes Premier League football. Full commentary of Nottingham Forest against Newcastle on the way. It kicks off in just under 5 minutes' time. I'm Alistair Bruce Ball. I'm sitting alongside the former Republic of Ireland international Stephen Kelly. Stephen, I'm looking at a little Premier League table in front of me here that has Newcastle still thinking about making a push for European football and European qualification next season. They start the game in 9th spot on 33 points, but that is a full 13 points behind Aston Villa in 5th. From Nottingham Forest's point of view, though, Stephen, this is an important game. 1 point from their last 3 Premier League games. They are sitting just 2 points above the bottom 3, and they've struggled to put together consistent performances at home this season.
It is. They need to get a run of form, don't they, where they can try to pull away from that pack. When you always have those teams behind you chasing and breathing down your neck, it makes it very hard to try and get away from it. And it's home form that last year eventually got them out of it. So putting together a good run of form will be important. They'll feel Newcastle have not been the same as they have been. They've not had that consistent level. So they would feel today's game is an opportunity to try and get something at home.
Was this a ground you like playing at?
Yes, it was a ground I liked playing at. There was always decent support. When I played here, it was during the Championship, and it's to see it now, full out, packed out Premier League football. It's where it belongs. You used to come here and think to yourself, wow, this is a Premier League game in the waiting. They're here now. Can they hold on to it?
Yeah, we're sitting in the Peter Taylor stand. The Brian Clough stand is opposite us. The Trent End away to our left-hand side. Had a walk across the bridge towards the ground today. So the River Trent flowing freely, actually really swollen right up to the edge of the riverbanks here today. But all 4 stands at the ground here packed, and the Newcastle fans jammed in tight in that Bridgeford stand away to our right hand side. Tight tunnel as well. I can see the 2 teams just ready to come out. They are shoulder to shoulder. Let's tell you what's happened in the Premier League so far today. Lunchtime kickoff. Manchester City beat Everton by 2-0. You know who back amongst the goals for them. Erling Haaland with 2 second-half goals. But Liverpool are top of the table tonight again. They beat Burnley 3-1 at Anfield. So they lead Manchester City by 2 points at the top of the table. Manchester City have played a game fewer. Big win for Sheffield United in the relegation battle. They won 3-1 away to Luton as the 2 teams enter the stadium here. Out onto the pitch they march with referee Anthony Taylor, ball in his right hand just in front of them. Stephen's former club Tottenham had a dramatic late win. Brennan Johnson with an added time winner at home against Brighton. Big win for Brentford in the relegation battle. They were 2-0 winners away to Wolves, and Fulham beat Bournemouth by 3-1. Now the big news from the team news point of view here, Stephen, is Anthony Gordon starts for Newcastle, because the manager Eddie Howe seemed to intimate in the week that he had absolutely no chance for this game and might make the next one. Callum Wilson starts as well. That's a huge boost for Newcastle.
Yeah, massive boost. Physical presence up top, Gordon linking in with him. It's a combination that links up really well. And if you're Forest, you're thinking, well, these are 2 players that have to stop. At what level? I presume the manager's not going to start Gordon unless he's fully confident he's going to be okay. We saw what happened with Hodgson and Elise when he brought him on, and the scrutiny the managers come under when they seem to make decisions on the medical fitness of players. So I would think Gordon's fully fit and raring to go. So yeah, it's a big one to have back.
And the other good news for Newcastle, Jamal Lascelles. He's been one of those long list of injured players. He is amongst the substitutes for Newcastle this evening. Their sort of dark turquoise, dark greeny tracksuit tops are coming off. Black kit, change kit though this evening. It's not the black and white stripes, it's pretty much all black with luminous light green numbers, or luminous yellow, sort of yellowy green numbers on the back of those. And Nottingham Forest in the familiar red and white this evening. The 2 teams just about ready to go. So Nottingham Forest for them, 8 changes from the penalty shootout win against Bristol City on Wednesday night, which has seen them through to an FA Cup 5th round tie at home to Manchester United. But it's just 1 change from the last Premier League game, which was the 1-1 draw at Bournemouth last weekend, and that is the Senegalese international Moussa Niakate. He comes into central defence, and Andrew Omobamidele drops to the bench. So Nottingham Forest as follows: Mats Sells, the Belgian, in goal, recently signed from Strasbourg. They've chopped and changed with the goalkeeping position this season, but Matt Sells makes a second appearance for Nottingham Forest. Back four of Nico Williams, Niakate, the exciting young Brazilian Murillo, and Nuno Tavares on loan from Arsenal, the Portuguese at left back. Ryan Yates captains the side alongside the Argentine Nicolas Dominguez. Anthony Elanga, Morgan Gibbs-White and Callum Hudson-Odoi in behind Taiwo Awoniyi. Now that front four, we saw Nottingham Forest beat Newcastle by 3-1 at St James's Park on Boxing Day, Stephen. Actually, Chris Wood got himself a hat-trick that day. That front four looks promising from Nottingham Forest's point of view, doesn't it?
It is very promising, and we spoke about it before, but this Newcastle defence have not been as solid as they have been in last season, particularly. Two quick, tricky wingers. And we talk about Elanga and Hudson-Odoi going up against Byrne, who had a bit of an off day, you should just say. But they're going to look at that and think this is an opportunity for us to get them. They put goals past Newcastle before. They've been confident they can do it again. So it's going to be a tough test.
Well, there's a familiar refrain if you've ever watched your football at the City Ground. The scarves are up, red and white everywhere you look. Newcastle fans being drowned out at the moment. That takes an effort in itself. Always a great atmosphere here at the City Ground. The Newcastle team then ready for this challenge. Martin Dubravka in goal. That's some noise, isn't it?
It is. This stadium does breathe that, and for a long time they're crying out to be in this league, to be given this vocal performance, to be behind their team, and they're here now and they want to hold on to it.
Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Sven Botman and Dan Burn the back four. Sean Longstaff got himself 2 goals in the comeback 4-4 draw against Luton last week. Bruno Guimaraes, 1 more yellow card for him, and he'll miss a couple of games for Newcastle, so he's got to be a bit careful. Lewis Miley continues a long run in the Newcastle starting lineup, just 17 years old. Front three, Miguel Almiron and Anthony Gordon, who starts with Callum Wilson through the middle. No Alexander Isak amongst others for Newcastle today. So we're just about ready to go. England-Wales in the Six Nations continues over on 5 Live. This is Nottingham Forest against Newcastle in the Premier League. 2 more Premier League commentaries coming your way on 5 Live tomorrow as well. West Ham Arsenal kicks off at 2. Aston Villa Manchester United at 4:30, and here on Sports Extra tomorrow, that's the place to be for your Six Nations, because we'll have full commentary on Ireland against Italy. It is one of those weekends where you need the BBC Sounds app, you need to be across your Sports Extra and your 5 Live. Whistle blows, we're underway at the City Ground. Newcastle kick-off, and Dan Burn, who's been the subject of much conversation in the week after a difficult game against Luton at St James's Park last week, but Eddie Howe launched a staunch defence of him and what he's done for Newcastle since he's joined, and he's shown faith in his big left back.
He has. It's interesting. I was actually with Dan Burn at Fulham when he first came out of the non-league into the scene, and he was in the younger ages with us, and you just thought this guy's a centre-back grade ready, but then he developed into that full-back position at Brighton. He did it so well, even bombing forward, and Newcastle he's been excellent. So he doesn't cut the figure of a normal full-back. Usually 6 foot is probably the pushing point, but he's done so well for them, so you have to give him credit, and he's capable of putting in a performance today for them.
So that's the voice of Stephen Kelly underway at the City Ground here. First minute of the game. Nottingham Forest defending the goal in front of the Trent end away to our left. Red shirts, white shorts, red socks with the white tops, and Newcastle all in black apart from the white socks, and the ball being played back here by Sven Botman to his goalkeeper Dubravka, who's in light blue. Dubravka left-footed pass, plays it to Botman again. Botman strokes the ball across to Burn. He's quickly closed down here, so he plays forward to Anthony Gordon, facing his own goal inside his own half. Nico Williams breathing down his neck. Back to Burn, and then Gordon whips a risky pass across the face of his own penalty area. Hudson-Odoi heads it forward, couldn't find Awoniyi. Hudson-Odoi involved again, and Nottingham Forest have it wide on the left, but they pass the ball straight out of play. Strange pass by Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, I think what was even stranger was how nonchalant he was about playing. He just whips this ball 35 yards, crosses pitch, square pass, and then is jogging off up the pitch as if he's not done anything wrong, and you're going, hold a second, you're going to give Forest the ball here, but they get it back and they move on.
Well, Stephen's been talking about Newcastle's defensive problems this season. 37 goals conceded already in 23 Premier League games. That's 4 more goals than they conceded in the entirety of the last Premier League season. Gordon on the ball in an attacking position though, edge of the Nottingham Forest box, onto his right foot, clever little pass to Longstaff into the box, tight spaces for him, lays it off here. Guimaraes trying to go round the outside, Nottingham Forest get enough bodies in the way, and Guimaraes has to turn and play back to Byrne down the left-hand touchline to the Brazilian again. Guimaraes plays back to Miley's pass to Gordon, nicely worked by Newcastle here. And the ball is played across that Nottingham Forest half, and Longstaff just helps it on to Cher. Cher doesn't mind striking one from distance. He thought about that for a second. Plays it out to the right to Almiron in his bright orange boots. He brings it in from the right-hand touchline, finds Miley's pass with pace out to Trippier. Trippier's lofted ball into Almiron. He controls it, but then it's taken off him, and it's a chance for Nicolas Dominguez to play back to Tavares. And Tavares clears up towards the halfway line. Fabian Cher and Awani having a really physical battle there. Awani goes down, play continues. Nottingham Forest keep the ball, and they have it inside their own half. Stephen.
Yeah, it was initially a really good bit of play from Newcastle with Gordon getting the ball in the box, which is where you want them, and they recycle it. Luckily enough, Forest get back their bodies around and keep the ball, but can they keep it now and not just give it away? But you feel that this is going to be the game. They're going to be giving the ball away to Newcastle. They're going to have possession, but they have to hold on to it better when they get it back, Forest.
Nice ball from Dan Byrne, off balance with his right foot inside his own half. Plays to 17-year-old Miley to Cher. Now with Longstaff chips it up just across the halfway line. Callum Wilson lays it off. He wants a foul from Anthony Taylor. Anthony Taylor's trying to play an advantage, eventually brings it back and gives the initial free kick for the challenge on Callum Wilson.
Yeah, you can see he was just trying to let it go into Guimaraes, and Gordon was in a great bit of space out here on the left-hand side. If he gets his turn on and plays it, it's well played from the referee for identifying that that's where they're going to go, but he brings it back in, gives him the foul.
Particularly when you've got Premier League players moaning at you and Callum Wilson waving arms or whatever, and Anthony Taylor knew exactly what he was doing. So 4 minutes in, Radio 5 Sports Extra live from the City Ground this evening. Chilly night in Nottingham. Nuno Espirito Santo just outside his technical area, arms crossed right on the edge of the pitch, watching his team defend at the moment. Anthony Gordon again, good control, edge of the area, right-footed shot is low, hits a whole forest of legs, cleared. Awani chases it, gets onto it, support on the outside from Tavares. Great run being made through the middle by Tavares. He's onto it. Angle inside the penalty area is tight for him. Plays it back. Gibbs White shoots just wide. Brilliant move from Nottingham Forest. Down the field like a flash, and Gibbs White couldn't quite find the finish. Yeah, there was a little bit of miscommunication with Sharon Dubravka. Dubravka's going to come for it, and he decides again to steps back. Tavares gets on the ball in the wide area, pulls it back to the edge of box. Gibbs White is running onto it, and you just expect him to caress into that far corner, and he just pulls it slightly wide, but it was a great counter-attack. Morgan Gibbs White, you could see on the close-up on his face afterwards, annoyed with himself for not finding the target, was looking for that corner to get it away from Dubravka's left hand, just the wrong side of the post. So Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 0. Good start to this game, 5 minutes played. England-Wales in the Six Nations continues over on 5 Live. Earlier on in that competition today, Scotland 16, France 20. It finished at Murrayfield. I can tell you that was some finish as well, because I was watching it on the screen in the press room here. And Scotland they were desperately trying to get over that French line at the end. Thought they got the ball down. It was just held up. They looked at it for 4 or 5 minutes on the TMO, but France just got the win.
On my Irish eyes, I'm kind of happy France got that win to keep us adrift of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, that's right. Scotland, of course, winners against Wales last week. As I say, Ireland, Italy tomorrow. Kicks off at 3 o'clock. Sports Extra's coverage starts just before 3. Now that is a heavy challenge from Nico Williams on Anthony Gordon. That's a welcome to the game, sunshine. Gordon's down. Jason Tinnell and Eddie Howe don't really like the challenge. Then they get back to their little discussion. Newcastle get their free kick. Yeah,
that's your full-back free hit. You can get it on early in the game. But just looking back at that play, it was the miscommunication between Sharon and Dubravka was really evident, and they just didn't talk about it and allow that space in behind, and maybe that's something that Forest are going to try and play in between those gaps between the two centre-backs.
Trippier up the middle of the pitch to Wilson. Wilson has the ball taken off him by Niakate. It's back with the Nottingham Forest keeper Mats Sells, the Belgian, clears with his right foot. He's all in yellow away to our left. Newcastle win the ball back. Their manager Eddie Howe applauds. 7 minutes in, Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 0. And both of these teams in a couple of weeks' time will be playing in the FA Cup 5th round. Newcastle away at Blackburn, and Nottingham Forest, because of that win against Bristol City here in midweek, they will be at home to Manchester United. But tonight it's all about the Premier League, and Newcastle on the ball inside their own half. It's Botman. Botman's low left-footed pass goes dribbling across the halfway line to Trippier. Played back, I beg your pardon, that's Fabian Schär. Trippier's moved forward into a midfield role here, just to give Nottingham Forest something to think about. Almiron gets involved. He plays back to Byrne. Byrne across to Gordon, just inside the Nottingham Forest half. Jumps infield, low pass from him finds Longstaff. Longstaff brings the ball forward, 25 yards out, hits one, skidding shot. Sells gets his hands to it and palms it behind for a Newcastle corner.
It's a decent effort from Longstaff, long way out, but it just bounces before it gets to the goalkeeper, and he has to react quickly, put it out for a corner. But it's a nice little bit of play from Gordon, comes off the line, and he misses out that first pass when he fires it back inside, which allows Longstaff to step into the space and a bit of freedom in the forward areas. But decent save. 6
goals for Sean Longstaff in all competitions so far this season. 2 last weekend. That one was definitely heading for the bottom corner, as Stephen Kelly was just telling you. Matt Sells, the Nottingham Forest keeper, former Newcastle man, had a couple of seasons with them. Rafa Benitez's first signing back in 2016. Trippier's corner, Sells is there, flaps a right hand, and it gets a touch, and it goes behind for another corner. So he started that season in the Championship in goal for Newcastle. Carl Darlow then took over, and he went off on loan to Anderlecht the season after. But here he is facing Newcastle, and he's got an important touch on that corner, and now there's going to be another one's going to come in from wide on the right, and this will be delivered by the left boot of Miguel Almiron. Anthony Taylor blows his whistle, bit of pushing and shoving in the 6-yard box. Seen a lot of this in the last few weeks in terms of attacking team trying to get around the opposition keeper.
Well, it just seems there's been a real change in what you can do to the goalkeeper and not get deemed as a free kick, so you might as well take advantage of it.
Almiron goes low and short. Trippier runs onto this ball, whips across into the far post. Guimaraes, brilliant goal! That is so well worked by Newcastle. Trippier came steaming up from the right back position to hit the cross first time. Guimaraes peeled off and made the run in behind, but it still needed a fabulous right-footed finish, and that's exactly what it got. Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 1.
The 3 components of that goal: Almiron playing the short corner, and to be honest, I thought he almost sold Trippier short because he made him have to sprint onto it. But when Trippier comes onto that ball, the pace and whip he hits onto it, and Guimaraes is running around the back. To keep his eye on the ball and watch it with the pace that's on and keep that down is a wonderful strike. Absolutely excellently executed goal. Fantastic from Newcastle.
Brilliant cross, brilliant finish. Bruno Guimaraes, only his 2nd goal of the season. I've seen both of them actually, because the other one came in the 8-0 win at Sheffield United earlier in the season. He is loving it as well, Bruno Guimaraes, because he's turned to those Newcastle fans. He's come running back towards them, clenched both fists and roared to the heavens here in Nottingham. Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 1.
The control though, as he's coming onto it, he hits it outside of his right foot volley, keeps it low down past the goalkeeper as he's on the move. Like, that's such a difficult skill to execute, and what a goal.
Just 2 away wins in the Premier League for Newcastle so far this season. That one at Sheffield United, recently at Aston Villa. Now they're 1-0 ahead. Anthony Gordon flying forward, finds Wilson. Wilson's just lost it in the penalty area, running onto its Longstaff. He falls over in the box as the ball sort of hit him, possibly hit his hand as well, and it ends up in the arms of Matt Sells, the Forest keeper.
Yeah, it's Gordon. When he comes inside and he drives at the ball, he's making all sorts of problems for Forest. They just can't deal with him with it. But the ball pops up here, and it looks like it may have come off one of the defenders of Forest. Then Longstaff's onto it.
Did hit Longstaff's arm, had that ended up in the back of the net. One of those, if he'd finished it, I'm not sure that would have counted. But Newcastle have started well, and having scored their goal, they're trying to put Nottingham Forest immediately back on the back foot again. Forest 0, Newcastle 1. Newcastle win would take them to 36 points, 1 point above Brighton, who were undone by a late Tottenham winner, a Brennan Johnson goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this afternoon. Highlights of the Premier League football match of the day tonight, BBC One at 10:30, and you can have your say as always on the phone in this evening, which will follow the end of this commentary. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton taking the call, so I'll remind you of the number to dial a little bit later in the commentary. Newcastle on the ball, just inside the Forest half. Back it comes to Trippier, who again is sort of in a central midfield role there.
Yeah, it's this inverted fullback. Everybody's at a pep starter there now. Now everybody's jumping on board, and it works. Well, especially when you have players like the likes of Kieran Trippier, who can get on that in that area and are so comfortable picking a pass, finding forward. And it just creates more overloads in the middle of the park and allowing those midfielders to be further up the pitch. So yeah, it's an interesting concept, but it definitely works.
Newcastle fans singing loudly here at the City Ground. Anthony Gordon chasing a long diagonal aim for him. Williams heads the ball away. Handball? No. Guimaraes seemed to control that with his left arm. He's under pressure from Yates. The ball's inside the Forest half. Miley did brilliantly to work that to Gordon. Gordon is looking sharp, considering we didn't think he was even going to start this game, and he's already been given a bit of a whack early on in the game. Any time he gets on the ball, he's looking good.
I think that has to be Newcastle's plan, but you look how wide he operates, and what Newcastle are doing really well is Guimaraes is kind of taking the eye of Nico Williams, which is allowing Gordon to be a bit more space on the left hand side.
Longstaff thinking about an early cross from wide on the right there. Then he turns and tries to feed a ball down the line to Almiron, who's won Newcastle a throw. 13 minutes gone in the first half at the City Ground. Forest 0, Newcastle 1. Trippier playing a couple of 1-2s here with Botman. Then he turns and floats a high ball down the middle. Wilson chests it down, but he stuck an arm out and he caught Murillo there, the young Brazilian centre-back for Nottingham Forest. So that'll be a free kick for the home team. Yeah,
he just gets his arm out. He's trying to protect it, catches him in the face, and listen, it's contact, so the ref's right to give the free kick. But it is really interesting the way Newcastle have lined up. Again, Trippier in there, which is, I think, just allowing Guimaraes to be further up the pitch, and that's causing a problem for this right back in Williams.
England-Wales in the Six Nations. Commentary continues over on 5 Live as Murillo plays the ball forward with his left foot. Awani flicks it on, and Trippier volleys it first time back to his goalkeeper Dubravka, who's just outside the penalty area there. Rolls it forward to Botman. Botman in turn to Trippier. Back to Cher. Cher's wide on the right. So when Trippier goes into this central midfield role, those remaining 3 defenders sort of split across the field. Botman is the middle of the 3, Byrne on the left and Cher on the right. Byrne's on the ball now. Gordon's in acres of space, isn't he?
See, it's where Guimaraes is sitting. He's picking up Nico Williams. The midfield doesn't know whether to come out to Gordon because he wants to protect the back 4, and then Gordon's in loads of space. So they're just creating an overload on Newcastle's left-hand side, Forest's right-hand side, and they don't know how to deal with it.
Something for Nuno Espirito Santo and his players to mull over in the early stages of this game. Forest trailing 1-0. Newcastle calmly knocking it around inside their own half. Miley is able to turn to Guimaraes. Lays it off first time with the outside of his right boot to Byrne. Byrne forward to Gordon. Williams immediately onto him. Gordon plays it back to Byrne. Guimaraes picks it up inside his own half. Yates comes thundering into him. He's too late, fouls him. Free kick for Newcastle.
It's definitely foul. And the problem with Forest have at the moment as well, they're trying to operate a screen, so they're not really putting pressure on the centre-backs of Newcastle. They're trying to have a block and they screen across, slide back and forth, but then once the pass is past them, those front 3 or 4 are out of the game. They're gone, and then you're playing recovery.
Fabian Cher wide on the right has crossed the halfway line, and he's turned and he's played all the way back into his own half. So Dan Byrne comes trotting back wide on the left. Botman has the ball at his feet, goes back out to Cher on the right, deep inside his own half. Short pass to Trippier. Nuno looks a little disgruntled with the way things have started here at the City Ground as Newcastle work it to the left, and Anthony Gordon starts a little run. Elanga comes back to block his path. Gordon just stops, plays back to Miley, and it goes again to Botman. So
that's what they have to do. Elanga has to be the one dropping out to protect slightly on Gordon and leave Dan Byrne with the ball, because he's now hurting you deep. The Gordon higher up the pitches, so he needs to be the one that shifts out. But now the high position, he's just going to pass past him and he's gone again.
You just see there as well Jason Tyndall just having a little word with Bruno Guimaraes.
Just keep staying there. You keep him there, he occupies Williams, and that just creates space for Gordon.
Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 1. 16 minutes gone in the first half. Brilliant goal from Bruno Guimaraes on the volley from the Trippier cross. Williams pass forward, blocked by Gordon. Played back to Niakate. Left-footed ball, clipped up to the halfway line. Awani plays it back here, and Elanga is onto it, and a away from Dan Burn. Great chance for Anthony Elanga, and it's saved by Dubravka with his legs. The ball spins just outside the penalty area. Miley there to clear with his left foot, and just like that, one pass and Nottingham Forest were in behind Newcastle.
Scratch what I said, Ali, just keep Elanga high so we can do that. But no, that is exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for that pass behind Byrne so Elanga can get him with pace. They did the same with Hudson Odoi and Tavares earlier on in the game, so that's where the threat is, but they have to have the ball to do that.
Really important save from Martin Dubravka to keep this at Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 1. I'm sure Newcastle will be highly motivated by what happened at St James's Park on Boxing Day, losing 3-1 to Nottingham Forest. The Chris Wood hat-trick. He's sitting here in the stands watching the game. Forest trailing 1-0. They've lost the ball, and Newcastle thinking about a counter here, but Lewis Miley gets it and instead decides to come back into his own half. The ball's with Botman again. Botman just outside his penalty area, receives the call from Trippier. Trippier onto the ball, entire pitch in front of him, looks up, plays a pass to Longstaff, immediately gets it back, rolls it across to Botman. Awani comes jogging towards him. Ball into midfield finds Miley. Miley across to Byrne. Gordon starts to run. Here's Guimaraes again, wide on the left for Newcastle. And Ryan Yates right on top of him, looking to win that ball off him. Guimaraes eventually goes down. Yates falls on top of him, and Anthony Taylor has given a free kick, I think, to Newcastle.
Yeah, it's light. I think Guimaraes is playing for it the whole time. He's leaning in, he's trying to fall over, he drops onto the ball, and Yates has to get tight to him though. He has to be in his face and not allow him to turn there.
Free kick Newcastle. Nottingham Forest fans not happy about that. It's been taken, and Botman's come back to his goalkeeper Dubravka, and when you look away to that end and look at Dubravka behind him, just row after row after row, filling the lower tier of that Bridgeford stand, packed with those joyous Geordies. At the moment, Newcastle United leading by a goal to 0. 50-50, won by Yates. This time he gets the better of Guimaraes, but he stays down having made the challenge. Nottingham Forest stop playing, then Dominguez starts it again, goes wide to the left. Hudson Odoi to Yates, back on his feet, rolls the pass back to Niakate. Williams stays wide on the right, ball comes out to him. Gordon is back doing the defending. Here's Niakate. Niakate's ball across to the Argentine Nicolas Dominguez, who plays with the socks rolled down, passes the ball out to the left. Hudson Odoi starts a run, cuts in field, running across the Newcastle half, about 30 yards from goal. Wide it goes to Elanga. Too much on the pass from Elanga, looking for Williams. Williams can't get there, and Longstaff just gives him a little nudge, which nearly sends him toppling over the hoardings, but he's okay. Goal kick for Newcastle. Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, it's poor from Elanga. It's really simple pass just on the outside of Dan Byrne, and he just has to play it short into his feet and allow him to get onto it. He plays off the pitch, and it just kills their momentum, kills their forward play. But he could have actually just taken him on himself instead of, and used the run of Williams on the underlap.
20 minutes gone in the first half at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 1. Botman going with a long ball downfield. It bounces twice. Niakate's under pressure from Gordon. Chests it down, plays it back to Matt Sells. It's beyond his goalkeeper and goes out for a corner to Newcastle. Sloppy from Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, easy. Just ball over the top. Such simple play. Forest under a little bit of pressure. Kate just gets a pass wrong and plays it past Sells, puts him out of the corner, but it's good work from Gordon, who's keeping them under pressure the whole time.
England 5, Wales 14, half-time at Twickenham. Second half commentary over on BBC Radio 5 Live. Six Nations, always entertaining. All 15 games available for you on 5 Live and Sports Extra over the next few weeks. Corner here for Newcastle. Trippier's delivery into the near post, headed straight up in the air, so still inside the Nottingham Forest box. Cher heads it forward, and it's straight into the arms of Matt Sells, the Forest keeper. One of the Nottingham Forest players down, looking a little groggy, or possibly a leg injury there, having been involved in the challenge for the ball at the near post. Gibbs White, he's lost a boot. Someone's trodden on the back of his heel, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting because when Sells picks it up, Elanga was gone, and if he hadn't noticed him and put him in, obviously refs have stopped it for, I think, dangerous play or maybe an injury, but Elanga had just opened up his legs and he'd set off down the left-hand side.
So midway through the first half, almost here, Radio 5 Sports Extra. Newcastle leading Nottingham Forest by a goal to 0. Nottingham Forest starting the evening just 2 points ahead of Everton, who are sitting in 18th, the top spot in the bottom three, having lost 2-0 at Manchester City today. So Sheffield United's win at Luton puts them on 13. Burnley also on 13. They lost at Anfield. Everton on 19. Luton on 20. Then it's Nottingham Forest on 21. Crystal Palace are on 24. They're at home to Chelsea on Monday night. And Brentford, an important win for them today away at Wolves. They're on 25. Bournemouth beaten today at Fulham. They're on 27. And that win puts Fulham on 29 points. So that's counting up from the bottom of the Premier League table. So a little bit nervy for Nottingham Forest fans at the moment. Diagonal ball. Gordon's control exemplary as ever. This time decides to try and go on the outside. Then cuts back onto the right foot. Plays back to Dan Burn. Burn's short pass to Guimaraes. Guimaraes runs to his left, feeds Gordon. Gordon cross in with his right foot. Low ball. Wilson tries to chest it down. Touches it then on the turn. Tackle on him from Murillo. Only runs to Trippier. Chip cross. Oh, headed attempt from Almiron. Didn't quite get enough on it. Sells is able to block it and pick it up for Nottingham Forest. It's
a great ball in from Trippier. Just dinks into the space, and Almiron just tries to almost leave it to take his run past the goalkeeper and try and distract him, but the keeper Sells reads it, catches it, is comfortable, but any little touch I think would have caused him a problem.
Nottingham Forest have given the ball away. Share forward to Almiron. Got the call from Trippier, who was steaming up on the outside. Newcastle lost it. Longstaff tries to win it back. Awani turns on the halfway line. Turns Fabian Share. Wants a free kick. Awani's down. He stayed down holding his right leg. Anthony Taylor not interested. Newcastle continue. They attack down the right with Trippier. Trippier's ball in. Volleyed away. Here's Gibbs-White inside his own half. Plays back to Yates. Yates across to Elanga, just outside the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Awani still down, and I think Nottingham Forest now, with their centre forward hurt, will decide to play the ball out. Dominguez backheels the ball out of play, and now Taiwo Awani is able to receive some treatment.
It's Share kind of catches in the back of the calf as he turns here. It's probably a foul. But as he goes down, he looks at the referee, doesn't give it, then he decides to stay down. Now he's back up on his feet. Yeah, it's going to hurt, it's going to be a bit of a dead calf, but as soon as the ref plays on, get on with it, get up. You know, your team get the ball back, you can actually go on the counter-attack.
Far be it from me to say, Stephen, but I think having made the it's a good turn, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
He then realises he's not getting to the ball having made the turn, so wants to, and there was contact.
No, there is contact. He's drawn the contact in by Share because he can feel him coming through. Clever play from a centre forward. But as soon as the ref doesn't give it, just get up and get on with the game.
Throw in Newcastle, wide on the left, attacking position, 20 minutes remaining in the first half. They've taken it quickly. Gordon to Wilson. Wilson looking for the run of Dan Burn outside on the left-hand side. Niakate's got it covered, puts his body in the way between Burn and the ball, and it goes behind for a goal kick to Nottingham Forest.
No, but Newcastle, I think he needs to actually be a positive force for him. He needs to protect the ball a little better and bring them up the pitch, because they're fighting for everything, but he's letting it drop, and I know it's difficult. You're up against Share and Botman, who are two very physical centre-backs, but I think he needs to protect the ball a little bit better to be able to bring his team up the pitch.
At half-time here on Sports Extra, we'll have a roundup of what's happened in the Premier League today. So that's coming your way at half-time, 20 minutes until then. And at the moment, Forest 0, Newcastle 1. Then second half commentary will be on Sports Extra and eventually 5 Live once the rugby's finished, and then it'll be 6:06 after that this evening, with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton taking your calls as always. Newcastle attacking down the right with Almiron. Longstaff makes a lung-busting run to get past him. Cleared by Dominguez, slightly scuffed ball, but well worked by Forest into the path of Gibbs-White, and suddenly Nottingham Forest on the counter. Elanga streaking through the middle. Great pace, great finish, and Nottingham Forest are level. End to end, they've gone from left back to find Elanga running through the middle, streaking away from Newcastle defenders, and Nottingham Forest have their equaliser. Forest 1, Newcastle 1.
Yeah, just a counter-attack as quick as that. We saw once before where Elanga went through, missed that time. This time the ball is perfectly placed. A bit of confusion again with the Barca, and I think Byrne don't get the communication right, but he comes in and just slips under his legs. It's a great finish from Elanga. Great way of pass, but again, just a little bit of miscommunication, and Byrne gets done for pace here again.
As soon as Gibbs-White gets on that ball, he's got to make enough yards, Stephen, to get in position to pass it, but he knew what he wanted to do, didn't he?
He's just going to open up his body. He's going to try and feel Hudson-Odoi in behind, or he's going to try and Elanga behind. Elanga v Byrne is a mismatch with pace. But I'm looking at the goalkeeper and thinking, can you come out early, take man, take ball? And he just hesitates slightly because he knows he has to leave his box, and then that draws a line and he just places it through his legs. It's a wonderful calm finish in the back of the net and puts Forest back level. Two
really well worked goals by both teams here this evening, well worth checking out on Match of the Day, BBC One at 10:30. Fifth Premier League goal this season for Anthony Elanga, who caused problems for Newcastle at St James's Park, and he's already been doing it again in this game.
You know what was great from Gibbs White though was before he received the ball, he sprinted probably 60 yards across the pitch to get himself in the position so he could turn and have space to play that ball forward. It was just a determination and a vision to see the space.
Here come Newcastle. Almiron miscontrol on the edge of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. This game opening up very nicely indeed. 27 minutes gone in the first half. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Matt Sells side foots a pass to Niakate. Niakate, lofted ball down the middle. Good header away by Botman. Up it comes to Elanga. Dan Burn with a high kicking challenge. Gets studs on the ball and it goes out for a throw into Nottingham Forest on the right. So Forest won 3-1 at St James's Park on Boxing Day. They could potentially complete the league double over Newcastle for the first time since the 1977-78 season, which, as Nottingham Forest fans will well know, was the season they won the old Division 1 under the great Brian Clough. Not done the league double over Newcastle since then. They've got themselves back in this game, and the ball is played forward by Murillo. Hudson-Odoi does really, I was going to say does really well to keep the ball in play. He can't quite keep the ball in play. Throw in for Newcastle.
No, but yeah, it's a fascinating game now to see how it goes. If Forest start to press slightly higher, if they're still happy to have that mid-turret block, if Newcastle start dominate possession again and go back to that what was causing problems, which is getting the ball to Gordon at his feet and Guimaraes out on the left-hand side.
If you haven't had enough of Stephen Kelly and I, we are going to be appearing on the Football Daily podcast as well. Tomorrow available via the BBC Sounds app. They're making us work for our money today, Stephen.
Yes, they really are.
After the commentary today, you and I will be sitting here. We'll be joined by Luke Edwards as well, and we'll be chatting about all the football that's taken place today, all the reaction, all the analysis in that Football Daily podcast there for you first thing tomorrow morning. But for the time being, let's enjoy the game being played out in front of us. 1-1, 15 minutes to go in the first half. Callum Wilson holds on to it for Newcastle. Now Guimaraes on the ball, looking for the run of Gordon. Gordon cutting in from the left-hand side. Niakate gets there just in time for Forest, hooks it away, throw in for Newcastle.
Yeah, another wonderful pass between the centre-back and the full-back, and Niakate just gets across in time to clear his lines, but Gordon just peeled off behind Nico Williams.
Throw in Newcastle, level with the penalty spot on the left. Dan Burn, ball above his head, lobs it down towards Guimaraes, seemed to hit up, bounce up and hit him in the hand. The ball's actually gone out of play. Yeah, he's given a handball, Anthony Taylor. So that will be a free kick for Nottingham Forest. Accidental, but certainly hit his arm. So Forest will have a chance to clear their lines.
It's this left-hand side, right-hand side for Forest, left-hand side for Newcastle. It's a fascinating contest because it's kind of cat and mouse. Elanga, you want to leave him, win a foot race against Dan Burn. And that's where you get your goal from. That's where your counter-attack. But it's also the vulnerability with Gordon. And so how do you play it? Do you get him back now because they're 1-1, or do you still keep him high up and have him known that you got him in a foot race?
Sells takes the free kick, the Forest keeper. Awani challenges for it. Yates is onto the loose ball, lobbed pass. Burn stretches, heads it away. Only as far as Awani. He's looking for Elanga on the right-hand side. Newcastle have cleared it for now. Gordon trying to win it. Sliding challenge on him by Dominguez. Couple of tackles won by Nottingham Forest. Home fans getting up for this. Ball finds Elanga. Cut back into the box. Gibbs White with the layoff, looking for Awani. Didn't quite find him. Newcastle clear. And the last touch came off a Forest player. It's a Newcastle throw.
Really well worked. Out to Elanga again. This time just cuts it back into Gibbs White, who you feel as he comes onto it could hit this. You're inside the box, you're near the penalty spot. Just get on target. It could go anywhere. But he opts for the clever little back heel into Awani, and Awani just doesn't read it. Trippier is there and clears his lines.
Would have been an absolutely sumptuous assist had he been able to pull it off. But I think as centre forward, you're right, Stephen, in that position, is just putting their right foot through.
He did one here last year, almost identical to that, and it turned out in a goal. I think it was Brendan Johnson ran on to the end of it. Really important touch, but I think that's close to the box, centre of the goal. Ooh.
Sure, Botman got himself in a right pickle there, just short of the byline. in the left-back position, got lucky. Challenge comes in on him from Elanga, and the ball runs off Elanga and goes behind for a goal kick. But Botman there at 6s and 7s didn't know what to do with the ball, and Newcastle just looking ever so slightly shaky at the back. 14 minutes remaining in this first half. Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Bruno Guimaraes giving Newcastle the lead. What a brilliant dummy by Lewis Miley, because Morgan Gibbs-White thought he was going to smash a pass out to the right-hand side. He let it run across his body, and Newcastle suddenly attacking down the right. Longstaff to Almiron. Almiron turns on the corner of the Forest box, plays back to Trippier. Trippier side foots it down the right for Longstaff. Back heel. Almiron can't get there in time. Tavares has got real speed to bring it out for Nottingham Forest from the back. Gets past Trippier, and Nottingham Forest looking dangerous again on the counter. Elanga stretches, can't keep the pass in play, and it goes out for a throw to Newcastle. Stephen Kelly.
It was perfect up to the pass, wasn't it? Drives out with the ball, Tavares works the space, he sees Elanga out wide, and one-on-one with Dan Burn, and just tries to fire over the top to him, overhits the pass. But that's where they have to be looking. They have to be looking to get the ball to Elanga in behind Burn or out to his feet as often as they can.
He's got serious speed, isn't he, Tavares?
Yeah, serious speed. He drove out, was brilliant. Little cut back inside, chops the player, and drives out, and then even has the vision to look across the pitch.
1-1. Nottingham Forest against Newcastle. Here's Longstaff. Ball at his feet just inside the Nottingham Forest half. Almiron plays it back to him now. Guimaraes looking for the run of Callum Wilson in the inside right channel. Nottingham Forest have it back. Goes to Tavares on the left, runs loose from him. Dominguez. Tavares then chests that ball down. All of it scrappy and scruffy, but Forest battle well. Gibbs-White then. First time ball back to Niakate. Niakate looks to his right, sees Nico Williams. Almost tackled by Anthony Gordon. Drags it away from him. Now Williams sets off into Newcastle territory. Ball down the right for Gibbs-White to chase. Sliding challenge from Byrne, and out it goes for the Forest throw.
It's exactly what Dan Byrne wanted. A ball that was actually in his favour for him to go and clear, give him a bit of confidence. But Williams does really well to work it initially. Plays out wide to Gibbs-White and just sells himself short. Allows Byrne to have the advantage, and he comes through with a thundering tackle.
Just looking at the BBC Sport website, England 8, Wales 14. Latest score at Twickenham in the Six Nations. Commentary continues over on 5 Live. 2 Premier League commentaries on 5 Live tomorrow for you. West Ham Arsenal at 2, Aston Villa Manchester United at 4:30. High throw into the Newcastle box. Dan Burn loves those. Heads that ball away. Niakate will just let that run and go out for another throw to Nottingham Forest. About 5 yards up from the dead ball line on the right. And he's just wiping all the excess moisture off the ball in his long-sleeved red Nottingham Forest shirt and looking for runners at the near post. In it comes again. Byrne heads it away, edge of the box. Swing and a miss from Dominguez on the volley. Dominguez is able to run back and just side-foot a ball here to Tavares, and Tavares goes all the way back to his goalkeeper Sells just outside the penalty area. Drives it long, looking to knock this over the head of Dan Byrne. Byrne turns and chases, clears into the shins of Williams and wins a throw for Newcastle.
Well, you did mention the Six Nations. That was a great knock from Sells, just a perfect position over the top. Byrne has to turn and go back, and for Nico Williams does well, but he gets a throw in. But it was a great knock from Sells.
It's like the tactical kicking battle, isn't it, when you're moving the fullback left and right. And I've got to say, I mean, you do feel for Dan Byrne, because week after week at the moment he is coming up against speedy right wingers, and not his fault really for the Nottingham Forest goal, other than Nottingham Forest know if they get the right ball in, Alanga's going to beat him. The
problem is, well, the way Newcastle play is that Dan Byrne, he can't. Before, if you're a fullback or if you're a defender and you know players have your pace, you just sit off. Whereas now you're so high advanced, you're pushing players up the pitch, you can't afford to stay back and be that deep blind player. So that means you can't play offsides from that position. You can't cheat and have a 10-yard start on him, and that makes it much more difficult. And Dan Byrne, like you said, he's a 6'5" towering centre back / left back. He's not blessed with pace, does a great job and always has done for Newcastle and for Brighton. But at times when you come against wingers like this, there's nothing you can do really.
Tell you what, if he got running at you with a rugby ball in his hand, Dan Byrne, crash ball, I would not want to get in the way of Dan Byrne. You're not missing any football at the moment because Murillo is down receiving treatment for Nottingham Forest, so we're waiting for Newcastle to take their throw. This is Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 1. European football back next week, by the way, so Champions League commentaries on the way for you on 5 Live. Tuesday night, Manchester City away to FC Copenhagen. And Wednesday night, you may not have any skin in the game for this one, but interesting tie, full commentary on Lazio against Bayern Munich. So Harry Kane's Bayern Munich away to Lazio on Wednesday night. None of the British teams, of course, involved in the knockout rounds of the Europa League and Europa Conference League, so we've got to wait a little bit for them to get involved in the last 16. But Tuesday night, FC Copenhagen against Manchester City. Erling Haaland 2 goals today to give Manchester City a 2-0 win over Everton. Liverpool beat Burnley by 3 goals to 1. Liverpool top of the table on 54 points. Manchester City having played 1 game fewer on 52 points. Here's Burn. Murillo wants to get back into action. Nuno's waving his arm at the referee. Anthony Taylor eventually says you can come back on. Newcastle are attacking. Tavares is able to intercept a ball in from the right. Plays it to his left to Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi is under pressure, spins out of trouble, floats a pass into space. Williams will chase that and will keep it in play. Gordon's got pace and he'll chase him. Little dancing step over from Nico Williams. Gets a big cheer from the fans here in the Brian Clough stand. And Williams continues his run and Elanga couldn't quite find the ball in behind Dan Burn.
Yeah. And there was no cover on from Gordon there. Nico Williams gets out to Elanga and he's off. Gordon doesn't even attempt to track him. If Elanga gets that pass down the line, Williams is in on the right hand side, and I think that's part of the problem, isn't it, for Byrne as well? You don't have someone that naturally wants to give you a dig out. You don't have a winger that wants to track that runner.
Nottingham Forest have taken their throw. Lewis Miley shoves Nico Williams in the back. Nottingham Forest get the free kick. Newcastle started this game much the better. Much more even contest now. Forest 1, Newcastle 1 on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Always available on the BBC Sounds app if you're on the move, where you'll find all our sports podcasts, all the live radio as well. Former Republic of Ireland international Stephen Kelly with us at the City Ground this evening, watching Morgan Gibbs-White pointing and waving, right arm and left arm, eventually ready to take the free kick. It's going to come from deep here. So he's only about 10 yards inside the Newcastle half wide on the right. Then it's the dummy. It's a low pass and he gets it straight back from Williams, who is a bit closer to goal. Elanga gets it on the right. Williams makes a run. Williams low cross into the near post, almost miscontrolled by Wilson. Ball runs here to Botman, clears with his left foot, and out it goes for a throw-in to Nottingham Forest. Yeah,
as Williams, there was again miscommunication there. You can see Gibbs-White's trying to fire into Williams. I don't think he really knows exactly what's happening. They scramble out and then it lets what would be a really good opportunity to put the ball in behind the Newcastle defence from that position. It's a great place to cross the ball from, so I think missed chance there from Forest to whip it into the box.
Niakate again going through the throw-in preparations. We can see his shirt is pulled up his back, up his front. Now the ball's ready to go. Cameraman just behind him, getting a good close-up shot there as he puts his back into it, Niakate. So does Dan Burn, heading the ball away. It's bouncing loose. It's a right old scramble just outside the Newcastle box, and then Guimaraes is brought down by Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White complaining that something went against Nottingham Forest before that free kick was given against them, but referee is not going to change his mind.
They're complaining about the header from Dan Burn, but the fact that he's already above the player, just physically, that's his height. It's very hard to make the player jump when you lean on top of him then, and they're complaining that he didn't allow him to get his jump off.
5 minutes remaining in the first half. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Cher whips the ball across field to Anthony Gordon, who's patrolling the touchline in front of the Brian Clough stand here. Dan Burn goes lumbering past him. Gordon holds onto it, drags the ball with his right foot, cross with his left, good delivery. Niakate volleys it away. Ryan Yates immediately under pressure from Guimaraes. Guimaraes continues to chase. Nico Williams right back in the right back position, took a risk, clears first time, only as far as Miley. The ball's in field now. Burn gets it from Miley on the left. Here's Guimaraes. And Guimaraes, a couple of touches and then fires it back to Botman. Botman across to Cher. Cher on the halfway line, immediately back to Botman again. Dan Burn in space to his left if he wants him. Goes up the middle of the pitch here to Guimaraes, plays it straight back to Botman. Lewis Miley just moves in between Yates and Elanga, offers himself for a pass, but it goes to Burn instead. Burn, low pass to Gordon. Gordon comes speeding in from the left. Williams can't stop him. Gordon now looking for the 1-2 with Wilson. Wilson doesn't hold it up on the edge of the box, eventually regains possession for Newcastle, and then Guimaraes seemed to be hauled to the floor. Anthony Taylor says play on, and look at Tavares bursting forward with speed. Hudson-Odoi on the ball, slides it to the right to Elanga. Elanga's forced wide. Hudson-Odoi goes down edge of the box. Cross comes in, headed away and behind for a corner, and Nottingham Forest fans roar their approval. It's 1-1.
Yeah, it's just a blistering counter-attack from Forest. Hudson-Odoi this time driving forward, gets out to Alanga first time opposite the cross, and Awoni's steaming in behind. I think it's Shar who has to do everything he can to put this out for a corner, but Forest do look dangerous on the counter.
So corner for Nottingham Forest on the way. 3.5 minutes remaining at the end of the first half here on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Bated breath inside the City ground. Morgan Gibbs White. Deep breath, steadies himself. Nicholas Dominguez offers the short option. Gibbs White, though, is going to deliver this in towards the far post. Dubravka stretches, catches the ball cleanly with both hands, and then just lobs it out to his right. Share for Newcastle, running forward. Black shirts sprinting ahead of him. Short pass to his right to Trippier. Trippier across the halfway line to Miley. To Share. Share's closed down quickly, playing the ball back into his own half. He's fouled. That'll be a free kick for Newcastle as we head towards half-time, and Eddie Howe goes down on one knee. He's got the little notepad out, so something is going to get scribbled and mentioned during the break.
Miley's so comfortable, isn't he, for a 17-year-old? You just look at him and I don't even want to label him with this, but he's got Declan Rice kind of movement and stature to him, the way he stands, the way he passes the ball. He's nowhere near that level yet, but he just has that kind of just nonchalance about him that he doesn't seem phased wherever he receives the ball.
Yeah, I know what you mean. A couple of minutes to go plus added time, end of the first half. Free kick knocked in towards the edge of the Forest penalty area. Bounces, headed across goal. Fabian Schär, what a finish on the half volley, crisp as you like. Matt Sells had absolutely no chance, and just before half time, Newcastle back in front. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 2.
It's a wonderful finish, header back across, and Botman 1-2 with his team, with his centre-back partner, and Shar comes in, and what a wonderful hit. This is your striker scoring this goal, you're delighted, but he hits it on the half volley, keeps it low, pings into the bottom corner. Forest, though, will be looking at themselves. This is a straightforward ball into the box. They don't deal with the first phase, and in second phase no one is picking up Shar. They all get drawn towards the ball, but it's a wonderful strike from him. We know he's got that in his locker. He's technically excellent. Great goal.
Scored 2 goals in the win at Aston Villa in the last away game in the Premier League. One of those was a right foot volley actually from a corner, which he met perfectly, and that he just didn't panic. He just put his right foot through it, just stroked it in. Just
as calm as you like, side foots it on the half volley, but again it's Forest. No one really gets near him. They're competing for the ball, but it's that second phase when you've got the like a Dan Burn and Botman competing for it's where is the ball going to drop to, and no one reacts to it.
So 3 goals in the first half, minute remaining plus added time. Hope you're enjoying it on Radio 5 Sports Extra. A roundup of the day's football to come at half time. Then we'll be back here for second half commentary. Long way to go in the game. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 2. Longer ball looking for Callum Wilson over the top, headed away. Gibbs White trying to bring it under his spell just inside the Newcastle half. Sent tumbling, play continues. Trippier heads it across his own half. Botman with his left foot slices it forward. Not accurately though. Tavares from left back for Nottingham Forest plays across to Moussa Niakate, in turn to Nico Williams. Or Alanga took his eye off the ball. Dan Burn gets a foot on it. Wilson chases. Niakate's there first and is able to hold off Wilson and play back to his goalkeeper. So our fourth official, Darren Bond, comes out to the edge of the pitch here in front of us and is about to tell us how much added time we've got at the end of the first half in 2-1 and 5 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, with Nottingham Forest trailing Newcastle by 2 goals to 1. Ryan Yates, a Forest captain, product of the Nottingham Forest Academy, wide to Alanga. Alanga takes Burn on now.
No.
Alanga goes down inside the penalty area. Nottingham Forest fans excited immediately as soon as that happened. Stephen Kelly, you said no.
As soon as Dan Burn goes to go towards him, he just dives on the ground, and to be honest, I think that's a booking for simulation. The replay could put me wrong here, but as soon as I saw it, it looked like he just went straight down as soon as he felt there was going to be contact, and the ref is right there to judge it. I'm sure it's going to go to VAR.
Yeah, it looked very soft from here. They will be looking at it at Stockley Park. Nottingham Forest continue to attack. Alanga is eventually back on his feet, and Dan Burn clears. The ball goes out for a throw. Ryan Yates comes over to Anthony Taylor to ask the question, and he will not restart the game until he gets clearance from Stockley Park that it wasn't a penalty. I think you've called it right. He's checking Alanga's okay. He's not going to book him for simulation. Now we get another look on the monitor.
No. Yeah. There's a little small push in the back from Gordon, but there's nothing. See the dragging leg?
Yeah.
He drags his leg back to try and get a caught by Byrne. There's no contact out for Byrne whatsoever when it comes to a tackle. He has to book him though for diving. I don't understand why that doesn't. If you're trying to
stamp it out.
Yeah, you have to stop. You have to do that as well.
Yeah, Niakate on the right, cross in. Cleared only as far as Nico Williams. Delivery into the far post. Good stretching catch from Martin Dubravka. The only... Anthony Gordon was slightly unwise there in terms of he went back to help Dan Byrne, and he does put his arms out, doesn't he?
But he's already on his way down, isn't he, when his hands are on his back. So that's kind of, he's already made the attempt to the simulation has already happened. He's on his way down, then Gordon kind of just eased him in the back. So,
which is the risk Gordon took, and that was unwise, but it wasn't a penalty. You're absolutely right, Stephen. Forest 1, Newcastle 2. Added time at the end of the first half. Trippier clears with his right foot. Murillo heads it away out towards Gordon. Dominguez beats him to it, hooks the ball up in the air, gets to the next one as well, plays it back to Nico Williams, who immediately looks to release Hudson-Odoi away down the left. Trippier read it, wins the header. 17-year-old Miley plays back to Byrne. Byrne clips a pass forward with his left foot. Dominguez intercepts. Byrne heads it away. Almiron miscontrols, but it runs back to Longstaff, and Guimaraes suddenly pops up in space and has a chance to run at the Nottingham Forest defenders. Plays it forward to Wilson. Wilson inside that Nottingham Forest penalty area, trying to get it into a shooting position for him. He's tackled, and the ball does go out of play for a throw into Newcastle on the left.
He was just trying to chop it back onto that right foot, and then just didn't get enough contact to bring it back. But Guimaraes was in a great position there when he receives the ball, turns acres of space, drives forward, and just puts Forest on the back foot.
Enjoyable game so far, certainly if you're a neutral. Entertaining stuff if you're a Nottingham Forest fan, probably less so. A couple of minutes remaining in the first half. 5 minutes of added time, we've played 3 of them. Throw in taken, Dan Byrne prods it back down the line to Gordon. Gordon looks up, whips a pass across the Forest half to Trippier, heads it back to Cher. Cher's in the mood, and he's on the move. Dribbling forward, he's caught as he was about to play a pass. No free kick given. Cher's managed to play the pass, and then he's gone down, seemingly in a little bit of pain. Newcastle continue. Cher is hobbling back inside the Nottingham Forest half. Dan Byrne on the ball just inside his own half. Forward to Gordon. Gordon comes sweeping infield, finds Miley, and Miley goes back to Botman. Botman across to Trippier. Trippier side foots it out wide to Almiron on the right. Played infield to Longstaff. Almiron makes a run down the right. That's covered by Tavares. Tavares intercepts, forward to Awoniyi. Botman's got it covered, gets his body in the way. The pass just beyond Awoniyi, and Dubravka's able to come off his line and pick it up for Newcastle.
Again, it took for Botman to really kind of lean into, before Dubravka decided he was going to come. So there's a bit of hesitation there again. He needs to just get off his line a little bit quicker, because if you're going to play balls in behind you, him keeping a higher line just allows that back four to stay higher.
Do you want a rugby union latest from the Six Nations, Stephen?
Yeah, come on.
England 13, Wales 14. Second half is over on 5 Live. So if you want to take a break from us during half-time, we are going to have a roundup of the day's football for you here. But if you want sort of 15-20 minutes of the rugby, it's over on 5 Live. Elanga on the ball, miscontrolled just on the edge of the box when it seemed to be setting up very nicely for him. Guimaraes comes racing in to try and save Newcastle. Plays back to Byrne. Byrne forward to the halfway line. Almiron can't control. What have we got? About 5-6 seconds left in this first half. Nottingham Forest looking to launch one last attack. Tavares sees Hudson-Odoi in space on the left. Hudson-Odoi moving at pace towards Trippier. Little pass and a 1-2 with Dominguez. Hudson-Odoi's curling shot. Oh, it took a deflection, and it finds the back of the net right at the end of the first half. Little bit of luck for Callum Hudson-Odoi, but that's 2 goals for him in 2 Premier League games. And what a first half we've had at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 2.
Again, he gets a lot of luck here, but he does really well to fashion the shot. Little 1-2 on the outside, comes back in, sees the angle, he's trying to whip into that far corner, but takes a wicked deflection, I think, off Shah, who's down now injured, and ends up going the opposite side to Dubravka. But initially he drives at Trippier, little 1-2, and then whips it, comes off. Oh, I think it's Miley in the end. It just comes, it's a wicked deflection off him and sends Dubravka the wrong way.
Yeah. Miley with his hands tucked behind his back. Ball deflects off him. Deflects off his right elbow, but it's tucked into his body, and Dubravka's going one way, can't get back the other. Forest 2, Newcastle 2, and it never rains, but it pours for Eddie Howe in Newcastle, because Fabian Cher is now down having received a knock. He seemed to have his foot trodden on as he was bringing the ball forward a few minutes ago. He's complaining to Anthony Taylor, maybe even that he didn't get a free kick at the time. Bottom line is, it's 2-2.
Yeah, I don't, to be honest, if he's taking a knock, that's one thing. I presume he must be feeling this to be acting the way he is now. There's only a couple of minutes to half time, or a couple of seconds, should I say.
Yeah. That was the last attack of the first half, because I think as soon as we get this first half back underway, yep, Anthony Taylor is going to blow the half-time whistle. Well, how about that then? Newcastle taking the lead twice away from home, and Nottingham Forest pegging them back. To take you through the details, Bruno Guimaraes on the volley in the 10th minute. Anthony Elanga, that was a brilliant goal from Nottingham Forest, working the ball from their left-back position all the way up the field. Elanga running in behind and nutmegging the goalkeeper. Just before half-time, or before the 45 minutes were up, Fabian Schär on the half volley, after Botman was able to head a ball across the Nottingham Forest penalty area, but Nottingham Forest kept playing right until that half-time whistle. Got a bit of luck with the deflection, and at half-time, Stephen Kelly, it's 2-2.
Yeah, it's been Newcastle probably edged it as in possession-wise, but Forest have looked really dangerous on the counter. Those transitions, they know they've got pace in those wide areas, and that's where Newcastle have struggled. Even Trippier in one-on-ones this season has not been at his best. So Hudson-Odoi, this last goal, just decides to take him on, and he feeds it inside, gets it back, and gets his luck with deflection. But you have to make it sometimes. You have to be putting yourself in those positions to get those shots away. And Elanga had a decent opportunity just beforehand where he missed control at the edge of the box. He loses the ball. So Forest have had decent chances, but Newcastle have probably edged it in play and being a little bit more creative.
Entertaining stuff at the City Ground. I think home fans and away fans equally enjoying the action. Second half commentary to come here on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Still England 13, Wales 14 in the Six Nations. So if you want to hear the end of that game, that is over on 5 Live. But we have now here at half-time got reaction to the rest of the day's Premier League action for you. Big wins for Liverpool and Manchester City at the top of the table. Here's Mark Chapman.
In the Premier League today at lunchtime, 2 goals from Erling Haaland saw Manchester City beat Everton 2-0. That took them to the top of the table. Liverpool have gone back above them at 3 o'clock with a 3-1 win over Burnley. Elsewhere, Fulham beat Bournemouth 3-1. Sheffield United got their first away win of the Premier League season with a 3-1 win at Luton. Tottenham came from behind to beat Brighton 2-1, and it finished Wolves 0, Brentford 2. So the Premier League table this evening, Liverpool 54 and Manchester City 52, Arsenal 49, Tottenham 47, Villa 46, then Manchester United with 38, West Ham with 36, Brighton have 35, Newcastle 33, Wolves 32, into the bottom half, Chelsea 31, Fulham 29, Bournemouth 27, Brentford 25, Palace 24, Forest 21, Luton 20, and the bottom 3 remain Everton with 19, Burnley with 13, but Sheffield United have 13 as well. I'll round up everything that's happened in the EFL today shortly. In the Asia Cup final, the defending champions and hosts Qatar have won that in the Lusail Stadium. They won the final 3-1, all 3 goals from Qatar coming from penalties they were awarded. Jordan 1, Qatar 3 in the Asian Cup final. And let's go back to the Premier League. Finished Liverpool 3, Burnley 1. Here are the thoughts of Jurgen Klopp.
Good, really good. Responded really well. Bit of a rushy start where we tried too hard, if you want. That's why we were too open for the counter-attacks. If you play too early up front, and you cannot push up that quick. You lose the ball, they have chance for counter-attack. That's what they wanted to do, that's what they had. And so that was a tricky one. That was first half. That was the start. But we started controlling it better. We found moments where we really kept the ball. Always when we did that, then we were really good. So that's what we showed the boys in half-time. That's what we did most of the time. But then, of course, we scored a 2-1 and then they had their moments. Then where we needed Queef. That's just how it is. We had a super difficult, but the game was super difficult without the opponent already. So just with our own problems. And I thought the boys dealt really well with that.
Another positive, 3 headed goals, each from your forward line, 1 each. I mean, it continues this trend of everyone chipping in and contributing. How pleasing has that been in recent weeks?
We wouldn't be where we are if the boys don't score, huh? So that's how it is. And No, the goals were outstanding. The first, the set-piece routine was top. Unfortunately, through a good set-piece routine, we conceded one. Second was well played, win the ball back. Harvey goes in the box, I think. Chipman and Lucho arrives there like a thunderbolt.
Really brave.
Yeah, absolutely. Other people don't put their foot where he went with the head.
Sean Dyche saw his side lose 2-0 at Manchester City. Here are his thoughts.
I think the goal comes off their first shot on target. I think they only had 3 on target, so that shows the defensive side of the game. I thought we were organised, thought the discipline was good. The truth of it, really, though, is when you turn the ball over, can you keep it? Can you be successful in possession? Can you ask enough questions, which we didn't? But it is a tough place to come. They're in really good form, and they've got a lot of changes. You saw from the bench the different changes they can make. So we're well aware of all that, but a lot of good signs from our performance, but we know them turnover moments are so important.
The first 45, you must have been pleased as punch, because it wasn't just defending, was it? It was defending from the very front.
Yeah, like I say, I think the understanding from the side tactically and the work that we do with them and the coaches do with them was pleasing. I spoke to them half time about the turnover moments. You've got to keep the ball and you've got to keep it with that kind of conviction to go and attack properly. And we didn't do that as many times. And the number of times we could have got in behind their high line and we didn't really activate on that. So that's something that we were frustrated with. Tried to get their second half, but they hurt you these side, top sides, and they are a top side. Look at the strength in their bench, shows they're a top side, and they do what they do. They can find different ways of operating. They get a goal from a set piece. I think, as I said, first shot on target, great finish, and they do what these teams do, and they put you to the sword.
In the Championship, Leicester keep an 11-point lead at the top of the table after they won 2-1 at Watford. Southampton stay in second and they have 64. Remarkable game that they were involved in. They were 2-0 down and 3-2 down at home to Huddersfield, but eventually they won 5-3. Leeds have 63 points. They saw off bottom of the table Rotherham 3-0. Ipswich and West Brom drew 2-2 at lunchtime. Ipswich have 60 and West Brom have 49. And Sunderland have moved into the playoff spots after they beat Plymouth 3-1 at home and Hull were beaten 1-0 at home by Swansea. Rotherham, after that defeat at Leeds, remain bottom of the table with 19. Sheffield Wednesday won last night and they have 26. QPR got a 2-2 draw at home to Norwich and they are on 29, 2 points behind Huddersfield, who suffered that dramatic loss at Southampton.
You're listening to 5 Live Sports Extra, Premier League football.
In League One in England this afternoon, top 1 at bottom, Carlisle 0, Portsmouth 1. So Portsmouth have 66. Derby in second were held at home by Shrewsbury. They have 60 points. Bolton got a draw at Northampton despite being reduced to 10 men for the second half, and they're on 59. Barnsley got a late winner at home to Leyton Orient. They have 56. Peterborough also have 56 after they were thrashed 5-2 at Wycombe. Stevenage have the final playoff spot at the moment. They have 53. They were held 2-2 at Port Vale. Carlisle, as I say, lost to Portsmouth. They are bottom of the table. They have 20. Fleetwood were down to 10 and threw away a 1-goal lead at Lincoln. Lincoln winning 2-1. So Fleetwood have 25. Cheltenham have 26 after they won at Cambridge. Port Vale and Charlton both have 31. Port Vale, as I say, with that draw against Stevenage. Charlton in Nathan Jones's first game in charge, beaten 2-0 at Reading. Another win for the League Two leaders, Stockport. They won 3-1 at Grimsby, so they have 61 points. Mansfield thrashed Forest Green Rovers 4-0 and they have 57. Crewe beat Crawley and have gone into third on 54. Barrow dropping to fourth on 53 after they were beaten at AFC Wimbledon. Wrexham also lost today. Phil Parkinson saw his side lose against one of his former teams, Bradford, by a goal to nil. So Wrexham are in fifth on 52. MK Dons sixth after they came from behind to beat Accrington. They have 51. Harrogate have the final playoff spot on 47 points after they beat Colchester. The bottom two remain. Forest Green Rovers on 20 after that thrashing at home to Mansfield, and Sutton have 22 after they were beaten at Morecambe. Back to the Premier League. Sheffield United's first away win of the season in the league, 3-1 at Luton. Here's Chris Wilder.
Can't look too far ahead. I can't look about what the league table's going to look like at the end of the season. But we have to be competitive in everything we do. We have to dial in during the week. We have to practice. We have to deliver, good training sessions, and we have to take them out onto the pitch on Saturday. So there was a structure about us. I thought we could count and we could hurt. We had two or three great chances as well. and the level of performance was good from structural point of view, from a technical point of view, but it means nothing if you're not wanting to make that tackle, or you don't want to get beyond people, and Vinny Souza doesn't run from halfway in his half to halfway in their half and finishes that off to give us that all decisive, you know, 3 points and third goal. So there's actions like that are out of the handbook, and sometimes it's just what's under your shirt, you know, and that's what this club has been built on, and we can never get away from.
In the National League today, wins for Altrincham and Boreham Wood and Dagenham and Redbridge and Halifax, AFC Fylde and York. Leaders Chesterfield were held 2-2 at home by Ebbsfleet. FA Trophy today as well, and wins for Bromley and Solihull Moors, Macclesfield, Gateshead, Peterborough Sports and Barnet. In the Women's FA Cup, Leicester thrashed Birmingham 6-2. Half an hour played between Tottenham and Charlton, and that is goalless. Back to the Premier League, Fulham 3, Bournemouth 1. Let's get the details of that from John Southall.
Yeah, not a good day for Bournemouth. It means it's now 5 league games without a win. That stretches back to Boxing Day when they actually beat Fulham. Remember, they won 4 on the trot before that one. The scoreline doesn't tell the whole tale. When you look at the stats over the piece, Bournemouth had 14 corners, 25 shots, just 4 on target and scored 1. That's the bottom line, just the 1 goal. Behind after 5 minutes, De Cordova-Reid with the first goal. The second, Muniz finished off with the back post. In the second half, Senesi pulled one back to make it 2-1. But the decisive third just came 2 minutes later, and I think that was the turning point. Muniz again volleying in at the back post. Bournemouth gave it absolutely everything. Just didn't happen for them today. A valuable victory this though for Fulham, their first league victory of 2024. But for Bournemouth, another winless game. Next 2 up for them: Newcastle away, Manchester City at home.
So a comprehensive roundup of all the day's football there from Mark Chapman and the team in terms of the scores, the tables, etc, etc. Anything you need, BBC Sport website is the place to go. Commentary continues over on 5 Live in the Six Nations of England, Wales. The BBC Sport website tells me latest score there, still very tight. England leading Wales by 16 points to 14. So once that is done and dusted and wrapped up, then our listeners on 5 Live will be joining us here at the City Ground for commentary on the second half of Nottingham Forest against Newcastle. I'm Alistair Bruce Ball, watching the game here with the former Republic of Ireland international Stephen Kelly, who's very kindly been off to the press room at half-time to get some cups of tea and some. That looks really good, that, Stephen. The chocolate brownie, is it decent?
It's very good, yeah. It's very good, yeah.
That might have to wait. That might have to wait until the end of the game. We're waiting for the teams to reappear here. While we do that, let me just remind you of what's coming your way over the weekend in terms of the other sport you can listen to. 2 more Premier League commentaries tomorrow, both on 5 Live. 2 o'clock we've got West Ham Arsenal. Then at 4:30, Aston Villa against Manchester United, which I think is a fascinating matchup. Manchester United impressive in their 3-0 win against West Ham at Old Trafford last weekend. And Aston Villa, of course, beaten by Chelsea at home in the FA Cup in the week. Six Nations action tomorrow will be here on Sports Extra. That's Ireland-Italy. It kicks off at 3 o'clock. Couple of other things tomorrow night to look out for. The final of the Africa Cup of Nations will be on BBC 3 television. Coverage will start at 7:30. That is Ivory Coast against Nigeria. Kicks off at 8 o'clock. And then the Super Bowl. Are you an NFL fan, Stephen?
I am an NFL fan.
Will you stay up for that or not? That is late.
I think I will.
Yeah.
Normally I wouldn't, but it's half term, kids are off school, so I'd have to be up early in the morning.
Same for me, exactly. So that is in Las Vegas, going to be some show. Coverage will start from 11 o'clock on 5 Live. I think the game gets underway at 11:30. It is the Kansas City Chiefs against the San Francisco 49ers. So who are you rooting for there, Stephen?
I'm a Brady fan, so I kind of want the 49ers to stop Mahomes.
Stop Mahomes.
Yeah, but I'm not. I think Mahomes on the day just seems to pull out. I'm
slightly torn between. I love the idea of sort of trying to establish a sporting legacy. A bit like you say, like Mahomes trying to do what Brady did. Yeah. At the same time, the Chiefs have, they've had their fun. I'd quite like to see the 49ers win, but, who knows? Nottingham Forest are back. We've got European football coming in the week as well. Champions League returns Tuesday night. Commentary of FC Copenhagen against Manchester City. And Wednesday night we've got Lazio against Bayern Munich. So, Forest back out, just going through a pre-second half warm-up routine. The Newcastle players go jogging past them. Forest 2, Newcastle 2. I guess from Nuno's point of view and Eddie Howe's point of view, Stephen, things that they'll be delighted at in the first half. Some of the things that came off and goals they scored, but equally from the defensive point of view, you know, they'll definitely see weaknesses there where they've conceded. And Newcastle, they are conceding a lot of goals this season.
They really are. And listen, it's tough because, like I said, the style of play, they have a lot of players advance up the pitch, which does need to be exposed, and it puts a lot of pressure on those defenders. And often they're in a tree, see Trippier is out of picture sometimes, and Dan Burn playing against quick wingers, and they're just, Alanga's not tracking back, which led to the load of time Gordon was getting on this left-hand side against Williams. So Alanga's just holding his high line and has allowed him to get one-on-ones and running behind. So it's going to be a really difficult afternoon, I think, for Dan Burn. Second half, but listen, he puts a brave face on, he comes down, gets after it.
There's Mullum Kintyre again as we wait for the second half to get underway. Full time at Twickenham. Our listeners on 5 Live will be joining us after the post-match reaction. England have beaten Wales by 16 points to 14. So England start the Six Nations with 2 wins out of 2. Earlier on today, tight finish at Murrayfield. It was Scotland 16, France 20. This is Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 2. In terms of the other football and the evening kickoffs this evening, I can see that in the Women's FA Cup into the second half, Tottenham 0, Championship leaders Charlton 0. And in terms of the Scottish Cup this evening, I know there's one evening kickoff in that competition, if I can find it. Rangers leading Ayr by a goal to 0. Forest attacking. Hudson-Odoi's crossing the box was decent, just over the head of Awini. Falls for Ryan Yates, hits the shot well. Guimaraes is able to block it. No changes in either lineup at half-time, so I'll run you through the teams again in just a second, but Nottingham Forest have come out and they look sharp from the start. Gibbs-White plays it to his left to Hudson-Odoi. Fans still taking their seats in front of us here in the Brian Clough stand. Hudson-Odoi again, looking to get a little switch pass in for the run of Gibbs-White, covered by Fabian Schär. Gibbs-White goes sliding into Schär, knocks him over, but it does go behind for the Newcastle goal kick.
But it is a bright start from Forest going on this left-hand side. That was a really great cross into the box, and I think it was Schär was just in the right position to head it because Gibbs-White is flying in behind them. But Forest have started bright and high up the pitch as well.
Newcastle have taken their goal kick and they'll start to play out from the back. Schär, right hand side, oh dear, clumsy from Schär, just ran the ball straight out of play. So Nottingham Forest pounce on that and they take their throw. Dominguez to Hudson-Odoi, back to Nuno Tavares, well forward already early in the second half. Hudson-Odoi couldn't quite control the pass. Trippier gets in the way. Nottingham Forest fans in the Trent end think that should be a corner. Anthony Taylor doesn't agree.
It bounces up and hits Trippier's arm, and I think that's what the fans are giving out. You can see there's a slight.
Let's have a look here on
just
the
here,
replay
watch as he goes to move.
Yeah,
see, it just
brushes
like
his
it's his fingertips.
Yeah.
But then it should technically be a corner.
Oh, it definitely hits his hand. It's outside the penalty area.
Yeah.
It's his hand outside the penalty area, but it does come off him. You're right. Should be a corner. So Newcastle take another goal kick, back underway in the second half. 2 minutes gone of the second period. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 2. Our listeners on 5 Live joining us shortly after England have beaten Wales by 16 points to 14 in the Six Nations. Nottingham Forest closing down inside the Newcastle penalty area. The ball is with Trippier. Trippier's right-footed pass down the right towards Murillo. His ball forward intercepted and the ball goes out for a throw-in to Newcastle wide on the right. Trippier comes jogging forward and gets ready to take that. Just 10 yards short of the halfway line on the right. Trippier breathing heavily. Cold night, you can see that cloud of breath in front of his face. Here's Almiron, back to Trippier.
It's just interesting to see how,
with Newcastle just playing out of their own penalty area at the start of the second half. It's Sven Botman on the ball. Welcome to our listeners on 5 Live to the City Ground, which has been absolutely jumping, as it always is for Premier League football. In fact, Championship football before that as well. Always a great ground to come to. No different this evening. Newcastle had the lead twice in the first half. Nottingham Forest have pegged them back twice. The second goal taking a wicked deflection from the Hudson-Odoi shot. almost with the very last kick of the first half, and that's where we are at 2-2. Newcastle all in black, change kit this evening, black shirts, black shorts, white socks with the black tops, defending the goal in front of the Trent End away to our left, and Nottingham Forest in the red shirts, white shorts and the red socks with the white tops, attacking that goal away to our left. Nuno Tavares, the left back, a little bit of skill from him. Applause from the Nottingham Forest fans in the Brian Clough stand in front of us, and Forest keep the ball, and Moussa Niakate comes jogging forward with it. I'll give you the two full lineups in just a second. Here's Ryan Yates, the Nottingham Forest skipper. Takes it past Miley, then slides it through to Awani. The flag stays down. One touch from Awani, and he hits the back of the net, and then the flag goes up. So the joy is cut short inside the City ground. Some finish though, Stephen
Kelly. It was
a
wonderful finish, and as he goes through, you can tell he's offside straight away, and you're thinking these fans are going to be disappointed if he puts this in the back of the net as soon as he fires it home, which is a wonderful finish. The linesman puts up his flag, but rightly so, he'd gone very early, I think.
Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. He could have put it up at the time. I think he knew. I think lots of the Nottingham Forest fans level actually probably knew as well, didn't they?
Just get that little bit of hope when the linesman doesn't put his flag up, and then they realise, he has to wait till he touches it.
Tell you what though, in terms of a finish, I mean, we know all about our knees finishing because he's been brilliant for Nottingham Forest, certainly for sort of second half of last season and first half of this season, but even that in the game is going to give you confidence, the fact he finished it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Dubravka goes down quite early actually, and he just whips it over his right shoulder. It is a great finish, first time as well, just that timing of the run, but when you look back at it, I think it's Cher who just steps up, and it's really clever from the defender.
So 5 minutes into the second half, great sporting drama on 5 Live and Sports Extra this afternoon in the Six Nations and the Premier League. Newcastle bringing the ball out of their own half. Lewis Miley, the 17-year-old, rolls a pass to Miguel Almiron in his bright pink boots. Finds Longstaff. Longstaff just stops for a second. Newcastle slow things down. Here's Dan Burn. Misplaced pass beyond Anthony Gordon. Out for a throw-in to Nottingham Forest. That the big surprise when the team sheets came out an hour ahead of kick-off here, that Anthony Gordon was starting this game. So Nottingham Forest have Matt Sells, the Belgian, in goal, the recent signing from Strasbourg. Back four of Nico Williams, Moussa Niakate, Murillo, the Brazilian, and Nuno Tavares, the Portuguese, on loan from Arsenal. Ryan Yates and Nicolas Dominguez, the Argentine, in central midfield. Anthony Elanga, Morgan Gibbs-White and Callum Hudson-Odoi, with Taiwo Awoniyi playing through the middle, and Newcastle with Dubravka in goal, Trippier, Cher, Botman and Byrne with defending to do as Nottingham Forest bring it forward with Gibbs-White. Wide it goes to Elanga, running at Byrne. Byrne gets a foot in, makes the tackle, the ball bounces back to him, and Newcastle can start to build a move from inside their own half. Guimaraes' ball forward is blocked, it comes back to the Brazilian, and he plays back to the edge of his own area. Longstaff, Guimaraes, Miley as the midfield three, Almiron and Gordon either side of Callum Wilson. So Wilson, another one, back starting for Newcastle again after a period out with injury. It's been a good game, Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, it's been very good. Loads of attacking, loads of threat from both sides. Defensively, they'd probably like to tighten up in the second half if they could. Moments of brilliance. Morgan Gibbs-White touch there was just sensational on the right hand side, brings it down and set Elanga away, and then one-on-one with Dan Byrne and Byrne comes out on top, and he'd be happy with that after the first half.
Well, if you've been listening to the updates on this game from Lee Blakeman during the England-Wales game in the Six Nations, Lee is still obviously sitting here alongside me. Teamwork at its very best. He's just told me Bayer Leverkusen lead Bayern Munich by 2-0 in the Bundesliga this evening. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. 6:06 to follow tonight after the conclusion of this game. Lines open, number to dial, same as always, 08085 909 693. They're just into the second half in that game in the Bundesliga. Leverkusen 2, Bayern Munich 0, and we've got commentary on Bayern Munich's game away to Lazio in the Champions League on Wednesday night. We've got full commentary of Copenhagen against Manchester City on Tuesday night. Both games on 5 Live and BBC Sound. So 8 minutes into the second half, Nottingham Forest throw down the right, ball headed in field by Gibbs-White. Botman muscles his way forward to win a header. It's lofted up in the air by Yates. Trippier goes running into Hudson-Odoi and is accidentally tripped. Forest win the ball. Trippier thinks he should have had a free kick. Referee Anthony Taylor says no. Almiron's back to get a tackle in on Hudson-Odoi. All happening at the moment, and then Miley almost misplaces the pass, but Almiron stops and controls it with his left foot in the right back position. Miley was looking for the 1-2 with him, goes down, no free kick. Tavares lines up the shot, it's awful. Absolutely dreadful with his right foot, and Taiwo Awoniyi and Anthony Elanga screaming at him, saying, look, we're in space here, you could have played us in. He's hit that 30 yards wide of the target.
That was one of those when you see winding up for about 5 minutes before he goes to hit it. He's on his weaker right foot. As he steps inside and he thinks, I'm going to just try and power this, he gets it all wrong and it sends it almost out to the corner flag. But there was players in great positions. We had to pick the pass there, winning the ball back high up the pitch like that, catching Newcastle on the back foot, and that gives up a chance.
Nottingham Forest starting this game 2 points above the bottom three, so a draw as things stand will take them to 22 points. 3 points above Everton, 2 above Luton, who were beaten at home by Sheffield United today. Newcastle knocking it around inside their own half. Longstaff plays back here to Sven Botman, the tall, rangy Dutchman, strokes a pass to Longstaff. To Almiron, inside his own half, wide on the right, back to Cher. Cher, scorer of Newcastle's second goal today, having scored 2 in their last away game in the Premier League at Aston Villa, and took it very well again this evening. Here's Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon running across his own half to Longstaff, forward to Wilson, tries to chest it back to Gordon. It fell for Wilson himself instead. Finds Longstaff in space on the right. Is Trippier, one touch from Trippier just outside the box, stands the cross up just beyond Almiron, who was leaping at the far post, just not tall enough to get high enough to be able to power the header into the back of the net. Stephen Kelly.
Great bit of breaking play from Newcastle. Longstaff and Gordon link up really well in the middle, and then they release Trippier to the right hand side, who has to dink that ball in. I think the pass is cut off from Tavares to whip it across the front, so he has to stand it up, and he just gets too much height on it, and Almiron can't reach it.
Longstaff has his heels clipped by Nicolas Dominguez in midfield. Down he goes and up he gets. Could have been a free kick, but Newcastle kept the ball and they keep playing. Trippier inside his own half. Could go any which way this game this evening. Eddie Howe deep in discussion with Jason Tindall, maybe thinking about potential changes. 10 minutes gone in the second half as Newcastle play wide on the left inside the Nottingham Forest half. Guimaraes is run off the ball brilliantly by Elanga, and Elanga gets Hudson-Odoi away down the left. Look at Tavares sprinting hard to get beyond him. Elanga uses him as a decoy, now plays him in on the left. One touch from Tavares, cross into the body of Trippier. That'll be a corner for Nottingham Forest. It's 2-2.
Yeah, it's the counter-attacks and the transitions are breathtaking how quick they're going. Hudson-Odoi just opens up this time, and Tavares is like gone 67 yards on underlap, finally gets the ball in, but just that decision making, I think first time that ball's a better cross in than taking the touch. But Forest look really dangerous, really dangerous when they get it to those wide areas.
Well worth watching on Match of the Day tonight, 10:30 BBC One. The first goal by Nottingham Forest in this game, coming out from the left back position, using that speed in the runners. Gibbs White, brilliant ball through to Elanga, who got away from Dan Burn to stick it through the legs of Dubravka. The corner's taken short. Gibbs White with the cross then hits the body of Guimaraes, and it goes behind for another Nottingham Forest corner. So 12 minutes gone in the second half. Live at the City Ground on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 2, with 6:06 on the way, with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton at the end of this game, and 2 more Premier League commentaries on 5 Live for you tomorrow. Newcastle getting ready to make changes. Gibbs White's corner, good delivery, headed away. Nicolas Dominguez will get there first for Nottingham Forest. Runs around the ball, takes a couple of touches, socks rolled down, plays back to Nico Williams. Williams crosses into the box, stooping header away. Laid off here to Longstaff. Forward it goes to Wilson. Wilson at full tilt, crosses the halfway line. Forest have 3 defenders back there. Nico Williams, one of them, makes the tackle, and Wilson absolutely livid he doesn't get a free kick.
It's a great recovery tackle from Nico Williams. Wilson is trying to get his body between the ball, and Williams just comes from his blind side and nicks it off him, gets back in and recovers. And it was an important challenge because Williams looked forward, he looked like he was in space.
Offside flag up against Morgan Gibbs White. A little bit of wrestling there, pushing and shoving. Morgan Gibbs White, and is it Sven Botman?
It's Botman, yeah.
Botman involved in that. Botman seemed to have Gibbs White in a headlock of sorts for a second. A yellow card is given to someone.
To both of them. I think Gibbs White and Botman both received the yellow card. Gibbs White for the initial part, Botman for the shove. Both players have been booked and just need to get on with it now.
So yellow card apiece. Free kick for Newcastle. Lively atmosphere, as you can hear inside the City ground. 4 goals in the game, 2 apiece, and we're waiting for Newcastle to take their free kick. It was Botman trying to get the ball off Gibbs White to take the free kick. Botman shoves Gibbs White shoves him back. Forest fans were unhappy that the offside decision was given. Bubbling up really nicely here.
Yeah, it really is. It's interesting in Newcastle's second half though, we haven't seen Trippier go into that midfield role yet at all. So I wonder if there's been a slight tactical change to try and deal with their wide players, not leave themselves exposed as much in the wide areas.
Harvey Barnes getting ready to come on for Newcastle. So after 4 months out with the foot injury, returned as a sub against Luton in the 4-4 draw last weekend, scored the crucial equaliser as Newcastle came back from 4-2 down. Miguel Almiron is taken off. Harvey Barnes comes on, a very welcome return to action for him and for Newcastle fans. Newcastle still missing at the moment Nick Pope, Matt Targett, Sandro Tonali, obviously for other reasons, Joe Willett, Joe Linton, Elliot Anderson and Alexander Isak. Anthony Taylor coming over to have a word here with one of the Nottingham Forest coaching staff, so we're yet to get back underway.
Yeah, and there's been a slight change. Barnes has gone out to the left wing and Gordon's now come over to the right wing. Just a little change for Gordon to see how he's going to fare against Tavares.
Gordon, you have to say, considering we didn't think he was even going to be involved this game, he's looked absolutely fine, hasn't he?
The thing is, when you see a player starting a game, there's obviously a full reassurance from the manager that there's nothing wrong. He's not going to be a doubt, and because with the list of injuries you just named, that's not another player they can afford to be missing by putting him back too soon.
Half an hour left in the game. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 2. Ball over the top from Fabian Schär. Anthony Gordon goes chasing. Tavares has got it covered and then just lobs the ball into Gordon as he jumps up to block behind him. Hits Gordon and it goes behind for the Nottingham Forest goal kick. So your 2 commentaries tomorrow on 5 Live's Premier League Sunday. West Ham Arsenal at 2. Aston Villa Manchester United at 4:30. Your 6 Nations, absolutely gripping action again today. Scotland 16, France 20, England 16, Wales 14. Ireland, Italy tomorrow on Sports Extra. Kicks off at 3 o'clock, so Sports Extra on air just before that. Nottingham Forest have won a throw on the left inside the Newcastle half. Tavares takes it to Gibbs White, controls it, back to Tavares. Here's Dominguez. Dominguez plays the 1-2 with Gibbs White to Murillo, the Brazilian centre-back, the 21-year-old. Nottingham Forest fans absolutely love him. Strokes the pass back to his goalkeeper, Matt Sells. Sells drills it downfield. Awani getting away from Botman. Awani's in. Chests it down. Will it fall for him? Botman slides in. Awani stumbles. He had an open goal to put it in from a tight angle. Morgan Gibbs White comes over to ask Anthony Taylor whether there was contact with Awani which forced him to topple over. The goal was at his mercy. At the moment he's not getting a penalty. It's just going to be a goal kick.
So the first one I was confident there was no penalty. This one, it looks like Dubravka takes him out. Again, the miscommunication between the Newcastle. Dubravka is backtracking. He should come out and take this. He has to come for it. Now only gets on the ball, goes past him. Oh, it's a penalty.
Do you think?
I think that's a penalty. Look at Dubravka's second arm. The first reach, then the second one. There, up.
But he's not getting that ball, I don't think, is he, Steve? No? I mean, Awani just wouldn't come down for him. It hit his chest and his knee and his leg. And you're right, Dubravka sticks an arm out. Yes, Awani's trying to run onto that ball.
I think that's a penalty.
Yeah, you might be right.
There's a lift in the arm just to stop him. And that's it's this movement here.
Yeah, doesn't need to do it.
No, if he keeps his arms down, he's fine. That lift.
You're absolutely right. The ball has gone, and actually, Awani, were he not impeded, might just get to that down by the dead ball line.
It's just that lift.
Wow.
I think if I'm watching this, I'm giving that as a penalty. And the other one I was dead set against. This one, I think it is.
Tony Harrington is the man at Stockley Park. No penalty. So if Stephen Kelly was your man at Stockley Park, Nottingham Forest fans, you're getting a penalty. But Tony Harrington is not giving that. No foul.
And the thing is, I can see he's leaving his leg in there slightly, but it's just that slight raising of the arm, which Dubravka doesn't need to do, that I think creates a contact, and then I think they've got away with one there.
Match of the day, 10:30, BBC One for Robbie and Chris to discuss tonight. 606 lines open, 08085 909 693 is the number to dial. Nico Williams in with the tackle, and the ball runs back into the Newcastle half, into their left back position, and Botman plays it across here to Trippier. In terms of the big game in La Liga, top two going head to head. Real Madrid lead Girona by 4 goals to 0. Jude Bellingham's got 2, but he's now off. 25 minutes to play there. Here's Trippier on the ball for Newcastle. Diagonal ball to the far post. Chested down by Barnes, just outside the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Wants to get it inside the box. Cross in. Tavares leaps to head it away. Hudson-Odoi is behind him. The ball bounces and Hudson-Odoi just smashes it high into the air. Headed forward by Cher, but that's a well-placed header to find Trippier. Run made by Longstaff into the inside right channel. Sliding effort from him to get the cross in. He wants a corner. But the assistant referee points his flag to the edge of the 6-yard box and says goal kick. Divock Origi's coming on to join the fun very shortly. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 2. 25 minutes to play, and Anthony Taylor is coming over to have another word here, and there's a yellow card given to a member of the Nottingham Forest coaching staff. So that must be a report from the fourth official, Darren Bond. Yeah,
he's given him a warning already, has he? He's come over, had a chat with him, told him, and I think that penalty decision, he was pretty aggrieved, and he was over to the fourth official to get in his face. But the chance comes from Dubravka again. There's 2 or 3 incidents where he could have come off his line and cleared the ball, but he hesitates, backtrack, and there's that miscommunication which led to the chance, and it's something that Newcastle have to sort out.
Gordon dribbling for Newcastle, edge of the area, hits the shot well over the bar into the Newcastle fans, and behind it goes for a goal kick. Another 5:30 kick-off this evening in the Scottish Cup. Rangers playing Ayr United. Kenny Crawford.
Yeah, 6 to 8 minutes gone, Ali. Still Rangers 1, Ayr United 0. Philippe Clement's men still looking for that second goal to kill this tie off. They've only had half chances in this second half so far. James Tavernier had a cushioned header that bounced wide, and Mohamed Diomande, in his first start since signing in January, had an overhead kick cleared off the line. A busy line it was too, with resolute defence from Ayr United. But until they get that second goal, Rangers, Ayr United are still a threat. Rangers 1, Ayr United 0.
Women's FA Cup latest closing stages. Tottenham lead Charlton by a goal to 0 into the last 10 minutes. Earlier on today, Leicester beat Birmingham by 6 goals to 2. And tomorrow, Arsenal-Manchester City, you can watch on BBC 2. It kicks off at 12:30. Coverage starts at 12:15. Tomorrow night, BBC 3, you've got the AFCON final. Guimaraes, right-footed drive, brilliant goal! Fabulous finish from Bruno Guimaraes. Pounces on the ball on the edge of the box, looks up, picks his spot, and sends the Newcastle fans wild with joy. What a game! Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3.
It is an absolutely sensational finish, but I think this would be looked at because I don't know whether that's going to get it, but it looks like Dan Bourne completely blocks the Forest defenders who's coming to try and make a block on it. So I don't know when it's going to be checked, but take nothing away from this. This is a sensational finish. Guimaraes steps in and he just caresses it into that far corner. What a wonderful goal. But it's definitely going to be checked, I think.
Right, let's wait and see. Let's have a look at what you're talking about there, Stephen. So the ball breaks loose, edge of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Guimaraes runs onto it. Yeah, you're right. Someone's going to try and make a challenge on Guimaraes. And Byrne,
he just steps across him like Dan Bourne is a man mountain. But I'm not too sure he can get there. I don't think it's going to be given, but he just walks across his path, stops him getting out. But what a finish that is.
Yeah, 2 goals for Bruno Guimaraes tonight. The first one was a brilliant finish as well. That was the Trippier cross that he volleyed in. That a very different type of finish. And immediately he goes to celebrate with those Newcastle fans, just watching the replay of that, standing up on the advertising hoardings, and all of them leaning towards him, wanting to get a hug with their favourite Brazilian in their black and white Newcastle shirts. They're back in front, the goal stands. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3. Plenty to talk about on 6:06 tonight. The lines are open. 08085 909 693 on the way in about 25 minutes time. What a fabulous weekend of sport. Fabulous Saturday of sport it's been for you so far on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Trippier's header is a loose one. Elanga comes in to block a clearance from Botman, and the ball goes behind for a goal kick. Origi is on, and our knee has come off, and I think we're then up to date with everything that's gone on.
Yeah, that is, it's a straight swap. Our knee, to be fair, he's running behind, he's tried to get on the ball, he's being industrious. That great finish from the goal that was disallowed, and to be honest, I think he probably should have had a penalty for his endeavour earlier on, but he's gone off, and Origi, they're looking to get themselves back in this game. But the way this game has gone, it wouldn't surprise me
Yeah, Newcastle coming again with Harvey Barnes zipping infield from the left, pacey pass behind Longstaff, couldn't control it, and away it goes for a throw into Nottingham Forest in the left back position. So Nuno Tavares gets ready to take that. Everything just settles down for a second or two. Another change coming. Gio Reyna, the American international, recently signed by Nottingham Forest on loan from Borussia Dortmund, is waiting to get his second appearance for the club from the bench. Hudson-Odoi flicks a little pass back to Tavares. Dominguez on the turn. Plays back to his goalkeeper, Mats Sells. Sells with his right foot, plays the ball out, looking for Nico Williams, beyond him and out for a throw-in to Newcastle on the left.
The thing is, you feel Forest came out the second half and they were in the game, weren't they? They probably had a better spell of passing, possession, and they looked like they were the team that was in the ascendancy. Then for Newcastle to go around and score a goal like that, they'd be disappointed, especially with not having that penalty that felt would have been given towards them. So it'd be interesting to see if they could pick themselves up and go again now.
Just seen the name of the member of the Nottingham Forest coaching staff, one of Nuno's backroom team, that picked up the yellow card. Rui Pedro Teixeira de Jesus de da Silva has popped up on the Premier League app. So there you go, in full, yellow card. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3, with Gio Reyna waiting to come on. Newcastle get on the ball again. Halfway line here, Longstaff looking to his right, finds Trippier. Trippier's ball to Guimaraes, who's been nothing short of sensational for Newcastle in this performance. Gordon makes a run, clipped on the edge of the penalty area, goes down holding his ankle, and Newcastle will get themselves a free kick.
Yeah, clever from Gordon. Little ball into his feet, and he does just nip in front and takes the contact and goes down, and it's a free kick in a really good area. Players that can deliver great balls from these angles, the likes of Trippier, will look at this and feel like this is a chance to whip it in between the goalkeeper and the fence, really cause problems.
20 minutes to play. Newcastle fans jam-packed in that Bridgeford stand, lower tier of, away to our right. Newcastle attacking that goal, and this is danger for Nottingham Forest. They're trailing by 3-2. Starting tonight just 2 points above the bottom three, and Kieran Trippier, so deadly from the set pieces, is standing over this ball and waiting to take it for Newcastle. Big men gathered in the penalty area, about to start their runs. Trippier just picks the ball up and places it in that tiny little...
He's actually had a look at the near post shot here twice.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, you think... Oh, I can see the gap as well from this angle. Let's have a look. Trippier, curls in to the far post. Up they go. It's beyond everyone. Barnes is there to collect it for Newcastle, wide on the left. I think that was on, Steve.
You see his little step? He took a step, had a look, went back, had another step and thought, this could be on.
Gordon's cross in, low one, volleyed away by Ryan Yates. Newcastle collect the ball again. Gordon 10 yards inside the Nottingham Forest half. Bounces a pass across to Trippier. Trippier looking for the right to left diagonal out towards Harvey Barnes. Has to leap for that. Heads it into the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Bounces safely into the arms of Matt Sells. He rushes forward and clears the ball downfield with his right foot. Botman up majestically to win the header. Gibbs White sticks out a right foot. The ball comes off his boot, but Barnes is there for Newcastle and plays back into his own half. So we're into the last 20 minutes of the game. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3, 6:06 on the way after this, and the Football Daily podcast we will be recording after this here live from the City Ground. That'll be available for you on the BBC Sounds app tomorrow morning. Sounds like the Rugby Union Daily podcast, as ever, is going to be well worth a listen given what's gone on in the Six Nations today. Brilliant from Tavares into the Newcastle box, works it onto the left foot, goes for power and shanks it wide of the near post, with again players waiting in the middle for a possible cross. Goal kick for Newcastle.
This time it's on his left foot, so he's probably more confident taking the shot on, and Cher does really well just to narrow down that angle. A little touch inside is great for him to work the space and create the shot, but as Cher comes across, he just cuts the angle off, steps across and shows him out wide, and he fires it into the side netting.
Ryan Yates coming off, Gio Reyna coming on. Standing ovation for the Nottingham Forest captain Yates. So his work is done for this evening. A reminder of the scorelines in the Premier League today, just in case you haven't caught up. Manchester City in the lunchtime kick-off, 2 goals from Erling Haaland saw them beat Everton by 2-0. Goal at Rangers in the Scottish Cup, Kenny Crawford.
And finally Rangers get that second goal, which should see them through to the quarter-finals of the Scottish Cup. Fabio Silva scoring at Rangers 2, Ayr United 0. Good work by Todd Cantwell on the right edge of the box, chipped it over. Ravi Matondo had a chance first, it was saved, fell to Silva, the one lone Wolves striker, thumped it into the top right hand corner. Rangers 2, Ayr United 0.
Here it remains, Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3 into the last 20 minutes of this game. Fabian Schär thought he was pushed in the back. He's not going to get the free kick. The ball's come off him and gone out for a throw-in to Nottingham Forest. So Manchester City temporarily went top of the table. Liverpool then beat Burnley by 3-1 at Anfield in our 3 o'clock commentary this afternoon. So they're on 54 points. Manchester City on 52. City have the game in hand. Tottenham got the late winner at home against Brighton, beat them 2-1. Important win for Brentford in the relegation battle. 2-0 winners at Wolves. Sheffield United 3-1 winners at Luton. Long throw into the Newcastle penalty area. Volley there from the edge of the box by Dominguez, who will be coming off shortly to be replaced, I think. Danilo is waiting to come on for Nottingham Forest, and Forest have the ball inside their own half. Fulham beat Bournemouth by 3-1 as well. All the scores, tables, details available for you on the BBC Sports website and app. Elanga can't quite bring the ball under control, wide on the right for Nottingham Forest. Dan Burn clears on the turn. Dominguez just cushions a little layoff here to Reina. Reina plays back to the halfway line. Across it comes to Murillo. Murillo digs his left foot under the ball. Dan Burn comes for it. He's beaten to it. Origi gets underneath it and hits it into the top tier of the Trent end away to our left. Took a deflection though, corner for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, Dan Burn is on the ground. Knows nothing about this, and it just hits him in the back as Origi smashes it, fires up over the bar. But that was a great chance from Origi. His first real opportunity since he's been on the pitch. I just falls on him on the edge of the box.
15 minutes to play. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3. 1 point from the last 3 games for Nottingham Forest. That came at Bournemouth last Sunday. Before that, defeats at Brentford, here against Arsenal. Looking to find themselves an equaliser here. Corner comes in from the right. High swinging one to the back post. Headed straight up in the air. Dubravka wants it. Double-fisted punch. Dominguez volley across the face of goal. Headed away by Harvey Barnes for Newcastle. Nodded down by Williams for Forest. Gibbs White has stayed wide on the right after taking the corner. Walking pace in front of Barnes. Beats him for fun there. Gordon blocks his cross. Williams just lets it dribble out of play for a throw-in to Nottingham Forest. So time ticking away for them. Newcastle looking to make it back-to-back wins in the Premier League. Last time out, it was a 3-1 win at Villa. Here they're leading Nottingham Forest by 3-2. They can't keep the clean sheets anymore, but the goals are still going in for Eddie Howe's team.
That's it. Tough team to deal with. If you're throwing long balls in the box.
Yeah. Newcastle
have some big players in that box. To be trying to get the first contact is really difficult for Forest.
Yeah, Dan Burn just proved that. High throw came in and he headed it away. Niakarte's cross in. There's another one. Botman heads it away. Gordon, second header. Dominguez, tired little pass on the volley to Hudson-Odoi. Lays it back to the Argentine. Dominguez again. Looks up. Bit of skill from him. Plays it back to Murillo. Red-shirted players making runs ahead of Tavares here. He's midway inside the Newcastle half. Side foots a pass to Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi with his right foot curls it across the Newcastle half and finds Gibbs White in a deep position. Gibbs White plays it forward to the American Gio Reyna. Murillo's ball through for Tavares. On the run, Dubravka's out, sliding forward, and he's able to clutch it with both hands.
It's great vision from Murillo. But he has to fire through because it's through so many bodies, and even with the pace of Tavares, he can't get on the end of that. Great vision though to see that pass. Execution was almost perfect as well.
Newcastle playing out down the right with Gordon. Good tackle by Tavares on Gordon. The ball runs to Hudson-Odoi. 13 minutes plus added time remaining. Danilo is still waiting to come on for Nottingham Forest. Gibbs White looking for an ambitious diagonal ball. Williams does have pace, the Welsh international, but he won't catch that one. Skids away from him and goes behind for the goal kick to Newcastle. So here comes the change. Nuno Espirito Santo is going to have a final word with Danilo. And yes, Nicolas Dominguez is the one to come off. He comes off at speed because Nottingham Forest need to get themselves back in this game. So Brazilian replaces Argentine, and Nuno goes to thank Dominguez for his efforts with a high five.
Yeah, a bit of more energy in the middle of the park. The game since Guimaraes' goal, it's kind of taken the sting out a little bit, hasn't it? it's fallen flat slightly, and I think Forest just need to up it a bit to get back into this.
Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton waiting to take the calls on 6:06 after this game. Gibbs White plays the ball. Gio Reyna hits that shot powerfully. It's blocked on the edge of the area. Runs to Hudson-Odoi. Beats one challenge. Newcastle get enough bodies in the way. He's forced away from goal for now. Turns. Floats across in towards Williams at the far post. Williams heads it back across goal. Dan Byrne's got that covered. Heads it away. Reyna volleys it back here to Niakate. Newcastle still with defending to do. Murillo's right-footed pass out to Hudson-Odoi on the left. Back onto his right foot. Another cross comes in. Looking for a flick on. Headed away only as far as Danilo. Gibbs White's going to drive one from range. Miley gets his body in the way. That one will have stung, but he's done the job for his team. Ball runs back to the halfway line. Niakate gets it for Forest. Plays it to Gibbs White. Immediately to Murillo. Murillo's lofted ball into the penalty area. Langer chases. Dan Byrne with a miscue. Slices it to Nico Williams. He's going to take Byrne on. Down by the byline. On the right for Nottingham Forest. Pass comes back to Gibbs White. One touch from him. Miley's in front of him, so he plays it out to the right again. Williams dummies across. Back onto his left foot. Ball comes in. Headed away by Longstaff. Bounces just outside the Newcastle box. Relentless pressure from Nottingham Forest at the moment. But can they work it into a clear-cut chance? Brilliant control from Hudson-Odoi. Wide on the left, and then he's caught by Gordon as he was about to try and work it onto his right and get the cross in. Nottingham Forest get the free kick. Stephen Kelly.
He's looked sharp, Hudson-Odoi, isn't it? It's nice to see him back confidence. Got 2 goals in the last 2 games. Looks dangerous, looks a threat, whipping good balls in, but it's difficult for Forest because Newcastle are just so dominant in the air from those crosses, from those set plays, that you has to be pinpoint accuracy if they're going to come away with something. And what's happened is, because Newcastle are deeper, they don't have those balls between the centre-back and the full-back, creating the space for the spacing behind for those wingers to run onto. So the fact that they're holding a higher possession has made it more difficult for them to penetrate in behind Newcastle.
Tino Livramento's getting ready to come on for Newcastle, but first there's a free kick to defend. The ball is in the inside left channel for Nottingham Forest. Gibbs White will take it with his right foot. High spinning ball towards the far post, headed back into that Newcastle penalty area. Dan Byrne, diving header away, and out it goes for a throw into Nottingham Forest on the right, who have been beaten 5 times at the City Ground this season. In fact, the throw-in is going to have to be retaken because Newcastle are going to make the change. So Lewis Miley is going to come off and Tino Livramento is going to come on, and Newcastle are going to try and see out this game. But Brighton, Everton, Tottenham, Bournemouth, Arsenal have all won here at the City Ground this season. Newcastle looking to claim that scalp as well. And Lewis Miley having a terrific season for Newcastle, because from the start of this season they weren't expecting him to play that many games.
No, listen, he's 17 years old. He's a talent. He really is. And again, you don't want to put too much pressure on young shoulders. But some of his movement, some of his calmness in the ball, his distribution, he does remind me of a certain Declan Rice in the way he moves about the pitch. Hugely bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, that could be one to be discussed in the Football Daily podcast, which will be there for you on the BBC Sounds app at the end of play today. First thing tomorrow morning. Last 10 minutes of the game here at the City Ground. 6:06 on the way on 5 Live. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3. Long throw, high loopy one into the Newcastle penalty area. Ball is not properly cleared. Now it is volleyed away by Longstaff. Gibbs White leaps into an athletic volleyed pass to the right. Nico Williams gets a heavy touch on the ball, trying to tackle Livramento, and the assistant referee gives the goal kick. I thought it was a goal kick. Williams thought there must have been a Newcastle touch on that and was demanding a corner.
Yeah, I looked like a goal kick from here as well. Livramento gets a touch, it comes off Williams. It looks like it goes out behind, and Newcastle can breathe a sigh of relief, just get back into a little bit more kind of just shape about them, calm it down a little bit. Interesting, Livramento's gone left back and Dan Byrne's gone up for this left wing almost.
Yeah, Dan Byrne wide on the left, now plays back to Livramento, across here to Sean Longstaff. Newcastle leading Nottingham Forest by 3-2, and Kieran Trippier on the ball inside his own half, plays back to Cher, closed down by Origi. Cher's curling pass down the right, volleyed away to the halfway line. Gio Reyna has lost it. Longstaff passes to his left. Harvey Barnes quickly on to Livramento. Livramento's got Nico Williams on the back foot, backpedaling up to the corner of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Harvey Barnes in support. Newcastle in these all black kits with the fluorescent yellow numbers on the back, playing back here to Botman. Botman chips a ball forward. Livramento tries to control. Gibbs White, first time ball with the outside of his right foot, looking to get Origi away in behind the Newcastle backline. It's intercepted, and here's Guimaraes. Guimaraes puts a little bit extra into that pass, and it rolls beautifully onto the run of Anthony Gordon. Gordon with a little chop back onto the left foot, running away from the Nottingham Forest goal. Plays back to Longstaff. He's Guimaraes again. Trippier wide on the right, and they come back to the halfway line. Newcastle, 7 minutes to play plus added time, leading Nottingham Forest by 3 goals to 2, having taken the lead for a third time in this second half. Ball all the way back inside the Newcastle half now, trying to draw Nottingham Forest out. Byrne plays it down the left. Livramento controls. Barnes runs towards him, receives it from Livramento. Williams breathing down his neck for Nottingham Forest. Back it comes to Longstaff and across to Guimaraes. Anthony Gordon a little bit deeper, just inside the Nottingham Forest half. Gets on the ball, runs with it 10 yards, then just lays it off to Trippier. Trippier to Guimaraes. Back to Gordon on the right, surrounded by red shirts. Loose touch from him. Hudson-Odoi tries to beat Trippier, runs into Trippier. Does he want a free kick or he's got a free kick?
Yeah, it was a great possession from Newcastle. They just kept the ball so well. Guimaraes is always available for the pass, rarely gives it away, and then just a little missed touch from Gordon there allows Hudson-Odoi to nick in, and now Forest have a chance to try and just get themselves back into this game, try and retain possession a little bit, look a bit more penetrative in behind, but you see Newcastle have gone to a 5 now almost when they're out of possession.
Yeah, Dan Byrne left-sided centre-back, Botman in the middle, Share on the right, Trippier right wing-back, Livramento left wing-back, leading by 3 goals to 2. Origi's volleyed back heel. Now out with Tavares on the left. Newcastle have every outfield player behind the ball. Danilo's trying to thread one through, almost impossible to do, a real mesh of black shirts there. Gordon lays it back to Trippier. Forest trying to win the ball back inside the Newcastle half. Challenge from Rayner on Longstaff. Came in from behind. Longstaff thought it should have been a free kick. Play continues. Tavares to Rayner's first time ball. Hudson-Odoi's offside on the left, and he was about to try and pick out someone in the middle with a cross.
Nice bit of play. Rayner, good tackle, and you can see just create a little triangle. Hudson-Odoi in the overlap, and he just goes a bit too early, and he's offside. But Newcastle are just, you can see they're happy to just get this win on the road. You know, Livramento was going to just drop back in there, a 5-4-1 out of possession. Everybody's behind the ball, and they're just making it really difficult for Forest to play between them.
Newcastle win takes them to 36 points, moves them 1 point above Brighton. They'll go above West Ham on goal difference. West Ham featuring the first of our commentary games tomorrow, 2 o'clock kickoff on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. West Ham against Arsenal, who'll start the day 3 points behind Manchester City and 5 points behind Liverpool. At 4:30 tomorrow we've got full commentary of Aston Villa against Manchester United. A couple of great games for you on 5 Live tomorrow. Tavares forward to Rayner. Rayner to Hudson-Odoi. Newcastle defenders just stand off for the moment. Rayner plays the 1-2 with Tavares. Back to Tavares, trying to get past Trippier. Trippier puts his body in the way. Tavares tries to shove him out of the way, and then Gordon's bringing the ball up the right. Thought he was clipped. Again, no free kick given. Long ball downfield. Murillo chests it down. Newcastle can't get the ball and can't get out of their own half in this little spell of play at the moment. 3.5 minutes to go and then added time. Gibbs White. Bobbling pass out to the right. Nico Williams receives it. Plays back to Gibbs White in the sort of quarterback role here for Nottingham Forest. Across to Tavares. Tavares, a straight ball up the middle to Rayner. Edge of the box, trying to beat some Newcastle defenders. Still inside that Newcastle penalty area. Hudson-Odoi with the cross in from the left, headed down, ball's loose inside the box. Share puts his right foot through it, just knocks it straight up in the air. Hudson-Odoi tries to control it, comes off his right boot and out for a throw into Newcastle. Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, decent play from Forest, just trying to work into a crossing position, but like I said before, cross into an area where you have Bolton, Share and Dan Byrne, it makes it a very difficult place to try and win ahead, and Origi has to be getting in front of those men. You like a ball in behind, or ball down the side behind those players, not in the air where you're going to feel like they're going to be dominant and win it.
08085 909 693 is the number to dial if you want to have your say on today's football on 606 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, and that'll be on the way shortly. Callum Wilson dragged down, trying to break into the Nottingham Forest half, has won the free kick, kills a bit of time. Newcastle will be very happy with that. I think they'll also be delighted he's managed to last this long as well. Got to be careful with Callum Wilson. Gently brought him back from his latest injury. Alexander Isak is out at the moment.
It's been a difficult game for as well. He's kind of fed off scraps a little bit. He's not been loads into his feet. The better players been in the wide areas, and he's been just a physical presence in that middle area. Fighting really hard, working really hard. He has put in a very good shift for them, to be fair.
89th minute of the game. Cher slips but manages to fire the pass across field to Harvey Barnes. Chests it down, plays back to Guimaraes, who scored 2 of the 3 Newcastle goals this evening, and both of them in their own way brilliant finishes. Harvey Barnes, misplaced pass. Hudson-Odoi is back to intercept. Longstaff read the danger, wins the ball, given away by Nottingham Forest to Gordon. Gordon tries to beat Tavares on the outside, blocks the cross, comes off his left boot and goes out for a throw-in to Newcastle on the right. Heading towards added time, Jason Tyndall, Eddie Howe's assistant, just pointing each forefinger to the side of his head, telling the Newcastle defenders to concentrate and see this out.
Yeah, Murillo need to concentrate there as well. Forrest just gets a bit complacent, a bit sloppy, and allows Gordon to pounce, and that's exactly what Newcastle want, winning the ball back high up in the Forest own half.
Newcastle looking for back-to-back away wins in the Premier League. Gordon can't beat Tavares. Tavares forward to Hudson-Odoi, bumped over by Trippier. Hudson-Odoi almost made the decision himself there, put his hand on the ball, then the whistle blew for the free kick. Time's running out for Nottingham Forest. If they lose this game, it'll be 7 points from 7 Premier League games under Nuno Espirito Santo, and of course 6 of those came with the win at Newcastle on Boxing Day, followed up by the big win at home over Manchester United. But if they lose this, it'll be 3 defeats in 4, with just the 1 draw at Bournemouth. So here's Gibbs White as Nottingham Forest come looking for an equaliser. And we're about to find out how much added time we've got at the end of this game. Gibbs White into the feet of Elanga. Elanga turns. Yeah.
There's no way you're going to turn in there. As soon as he receives the ball, there's 3 Newcastle players around him. It's totally congested in the middle area. You have to try and work it in and get it out wide. But when it gets out wide, they have to have better quality on the ball, come into the box.
6 minutes added time. Gibbs White playing a ball through the middle. Rayner is strong there on the turn, just shrugs off Guimaraes. Pass though slightly astray, and Niakate, the centre back, has to go sprinting to his right to keep it in play. Nottingham Forest recycle and start again. It comes back to Murillo. Murillo with his left foot, chip ball looking for the run of Tavares down the inside left channel, headed away. Gordon plays it back to Trippier, clears it high in the air. Wilson chests it down. Gibbs White nips in, wins it for Nottingham Forest, is able to turn away from Wilson and Gordon. And then Gordon's coming up behind him, took the ball cleanly. Anthony Taylor was right there. Newcastle come on the break. What energy has Gordon got left here? Tries to feed it through to Wilson. That's intercepted, and Tavares with good skill plays it through the lines here for Anthony Elanga. Elanga's still got some pace and speed, and he's going into the Newcastle box. Elanga losing his balance, looks for the cross into Origi. That's blocked crucially by Dan Byrne on the edge of the 6-yard box. Otherwise Origi could have been in for an easy finish. Here come Forest again on the left with Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi lays it back to the edge of the box. Shoots, say the Forest fans. Gibbs White obliges, just wide. Dubravka wasn't sure, threw himself agonisingly to his left. It goes wide and behind for the goal kick.
That was an absolute unbelievable hit from Gibbs White. Elanga with a burst of pace, Hudson-Odoi with a burst of pace. When it comes out to Gibbs White here, his first touch lets him down a little bit, goes behind him, but when he connects to that ball, we're sitting here thinking this is going to end up in the top corner. Catches it so well. Such an important piece of play from Dan Byrne earlier when Elanga went through, just gets a toe to it, stopping Origi getting on the ball, but then Gibbs White hits that shot, and we're all expecting to nest in the top corner, but just goes over.
Not far away, 3.5 minutes to go. Newcastle closing in on a big win for them, leading Nottingham Forest by 3-2. Lines open for 606. Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage waiting to take the calls. 08085 909 693. Women's FA Cup final score, Tottenham through. They've beaten the championship leaders Charlton by 1-0, and Real Madrid 4, Girona 0. It finished in La Liga this evening. Ball headed into the Nottingham Forest half. Newcastle player down, holding his head. Players not stopped. Anthony Gordon's not seen this. Longstaff back on his feet. Tavares runs into trouble, has to foul Guimaraes. Guimaraes gets up from a rugby tackle there, picks himself up, plays a great ball through. Wilson trying to get away from Murillo, but Murillo is quick, gets a foot on the ball and hoiks a clearance, fashions it into the right back position and eventually knocks it behind for a corner to Newcastle. Stephen Kelly.
You know what? In the 92nd minute, that run from Wilson is fantastic. So much energy spent in the second half just chasing dead balls and not actually being in the game, and the pressure he puts on Murillo there to put that out for a corner, it's just fantastic for his team. The Newcastle fans are loving it in that end, and that's going to see the game through for them, I think. A great bit of play from Wilson.
3 minutes to go. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3. Commentaries on West Ham Arsenal at 2 o'clock tomorrow, Aston Villa Manchester United at 4:30, and on BBC 3 tomorrow night, the Africa Cup of Nations final, Ivory Coast against Nigeria. Coverage starts at 7:30. Super Bowl on 5 Live tomorrow night as well. Our coverage starts at 11 o'clock. The big show in Las Vegas, the Kansas City Chiefs up against the San Francisco 49ers. Newcastle playing keep ball. Callum Wilson gets a yellow card because, having been tackled, he flicks the ball into the stands to try and waste a bit of time. Quickly to Ibrox, full time in the Scottish Cup, Kenny Crawford.
Rangers 2, Ayr United nil, far from smooth, but Philippe Clement's men have secured their place in this season's Scottish Cup quarter-finals. Goals from Borna Barisic and Fabio Silva. Rangers 2, Ayr United nil.
2 minutes of added time remaining. Callum Wilson making a nuisance of himself again for Newcastle. Ball is headed up in the air on the edge of the Nottingham Forest box. Livramento is there, nods it forward. Guimaraes flicks a header to his left. Barnes challenges Williams for the ball, and it goes out of play for a Nottingham Forest throw, but it's all down in the Nottingham Forest half.
Yeah, it's hard. They just can't get out of it. Newcastle are working it really well. They're just winning second balls. They're winning headers. They're keeping it just untidy and scruffy last few minutes of the game, which doesn't suit Forest. They want to get to their wingers, get to their feet, get them attacking them. They just haven't been able to get the ball up the pitch.
Throw in for Nottingham Forest inside their own half. Minute and 20 seconds to go. Here they come. Nuno Tavares on the ball. Hudson-Odoi in space on the left. Trippier tries to close that space down. Hudson-Odoi takes it infield. Emil Kraft now on as a substitute. Hudson-Odoi curling cross into the far post. Livramento heads it away. Falls nicely for Harvey Barnes. Strokes a measured pass into the path of Guimaraes. Outside of his right foot finds the run of Wilson. Harvey Barnes steaming away ahead of him down the left-hand side. Barnes up against Gibbs-White. Kraft is making a run into the middle. Harvey Barnes, though, intent on taking this ball down to the corner flag. Does so. Gibbs-White makes the tackle. Newcastle win the throw.
It's just really great game management from Newcastle. Wilson did it a few moments ago. Harvey Barnes does it now. Guimaraes plays the pass. Wilson plays the pass into the corner. Barnes breaks his neck to get there. And it's really clever. He's trying to draw the foul. Can't get the foul. Make sure that they gave it away for a throw in. And it just keeps Newcastle in this far left-hand corner and making Forest a long way to get back up to their goal.
Dejected Nottingham Forest fans sitting around us in the Brian Clough stand, getting up and out of their seats and heading for the exits. It's going to be 6 defeats in 7 Premier League home games. Newcastle thought they'd won a corner, but no. Goal kick. My stopwatch tells me the 6 minutes of added time are almost up. Anthony Taylor, hang on, he says. Don't want to take that goal kick just yet. What's he waiting for here? Callum Wilson's coming back onto the field. Nottingham Forest haven't got long, though. They've taken the goal kick short. Murillo brings the ball forward. Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall screaming instructions at the Newcastle players to keep focusing and see this through. Ball played back to Murillo. All eyes on Anthony Taylor. Not going to blow the whistle just yet. Cross into the Newcastle box, headed away to the edge of the box. Guimaraes lets it run through his legs. Really good defending. Brings the ball away. He's hoping he's going to be fouled there. He's not. Plays it back to Trippier. Trippier clears with his right foot. Anthony Taylor has a look at his watch. Not ready to blow just yet. One last chance for Nottingham Forest. Trailing 3-2. Hudson-Odoi has given the ball away. Now it's Newcastle's chance to kill it. Sean Longstaff on the ball. Plays it downfield with his right foot. And there we are. Back-to-back away wins in the Premier League for Newcastle United. They had to work so hard for that this evening. They took the lead 3 times in the game. Twice they were cancelled out. Bruno Guimaraes with a couple of crackers for Newcastle here. It's a really big win for them, Stephen Kelly.
Huge win. Forest be devastated not to come away with something. I think they had a penalty which should have been given to them. The second half they just didn't do enough though. Newcastle, Guimaraes' 2 goals were wonderful. The second one is a sensational finish to win the game. But then their game management, their understanding of it, Howe's changes, getting to a back 5, and just understanding of if they went away from getting in behind that Newcastle back 5, but maybe because Newcastle were deeper, it was harder for Forest, but it's a wonderful away win for Newcastle.
Yeah, big win for Newcastle United. Celebrations continue away to our right in that Bridgeford stand. A joyous away day for the Newcastle fans. They've beaten Nottingham Forest by 3-2. Slight worries though here for Callum Wilson, because he's got his right arm sort of wrapped in his Newcastle shirt, just supporting. He took a tumble late in the game and he is not joining in the celebrations on the field at the end of the game and kicks the ball away in frustration. So it's time for you to get your calls in now on the day's football here on BBC Radio 5 Live. The number to dial to get in touch with the guys on 606 is 08085 909 693. Full time at the City Ground. It's finished Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle 3. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton with you after the 5 Live news with Fraser Dainton.